Welcome everybody to the Sports Authority Game Time Studios. Throughout the day, we'll be here to keep you up to date on what's happening around Major League Baseball. And this sports news update is brought to you by U.S. Air. In Cleveland, snow on the ground this morning, and the Yankees opener at Cleveland has been postponed till tomorrow afternoon. In Baltimore, President Clinton was to throw out the first pitch at Camden Yards this afternoon. That game has been postponed till tomorrow afternoon. Anticipating the rain, the Phillies have already moved their home opener to Tuesday. The season officially started last night in Seattle at the Kingdome, the earliest start ever in Major League history. The Mariners out to defend their AL West title. First inning, Randy Johnson to Frank Thomas. A rude how do you do from Thomas. Two-run shot, number one for the Big Hurt on the year. The big unit responds with a vengeance. Johnson whipping 14 socks in 7 innings of work. He left trailing 2-1 though. Bottom of the ninth, still 2-1 Sox. Edgar Martinez is up. He slaps one to right field, down the line off Roberto Hernandez. Alex Diaz is in, it's 2-2. Then with Jay Buhner up, Hernandez on the wild side. Ron Karkovice and Joey Cora race to the plate. Cora looks safe but is called out by Jim McKean. Lou Piniella argues, but to no avail. We move to the 12th, Alex Rodriguez. The bases loaded single off Bill Simmons. Doug Strange ambles in. The M's take it 3-2 in 12 innings.
Welcome back to the Sports Authority Game Time. I'm Matt Loughlin, joined by Mets manager Dallas Green. And Dallas, you've been through so many opening days, but each one's different, and excitement in the air in 1996.
41 for me. It's a long time, but it is. It's always special. And particularly this year, we think that with our young ball club, we're going to try to move to the next level. And that means we got to get it started and play between the white lines. We can talk about it all we want, but we got to do it between the white lines. Kids know that. We had a good spring training. We're prepared for it.
In a 162-game season, there are going to be a lot of ups and downs, but how important is it to get off to the good start?
Well, it's always important to do that. I mean, I want to win 162 games. I don't think that's going to happen, but realistically, this club we know there's a little anticipation. There's some media talk, and there's a lot of anticipation on our fans' parts about being into that next level. Obviously, a fast start is going to help that, but it's not the end of the world if we don't. 162 games, a long time. Peaks and valleys we're going to have. We just have to have some patience with our young people and recognize that when we get a valley, if the fans stay with us and the guys stay together, we'll give them a good summer.
Well, if you are going to win 162 games, you got to win the first one, and you're handing the ball to Bobby Jones. What are we going to get from Bobby in 1996?
I think you'll get a typical Bobby Jones effort. He's usually 7, 8, 9 inning pitcher. He has some trouble early once in a while, but he's worked very hard this spring to work on some mechanical things that he needed to work on. I think he's prepared. I think he's ready to go. And mentally, I know Bobby wants to do a good job for us.
Butch Husky had a great year in Norfolk last year. I don't know if anyone expected him to have the kind of spring he did, but he won a starting job in right field.
Yes, he did. And he won it because he showed us that he really wanted it. He went out and did it between the white lines. He put up numbers. He said, hey, I want the job. We gave him the first baseman job mainly because we didn't know the prognosis of Rico. But with Rico back there, obviously, is one of the best defensive first basemen in the business. We're putting Butch out in the outfield. I feel comfortable he'll handle it fine.
Rico, a bit of a medical marvel, a quick recovery.
Yeah, well, the doctors really gave us the timetable. It was just a case of whether we could get him enough game action and at-bats to really come forward opening day and help us. And the minor league guys really did a great job with him the last 5-6 days. Got him 14, 15 at-bats every day. Made him do his work and running. Rico's prepared, and so are we.
Are you concerned at all about the bad weather anticipated today? The rest of the week, the forecast is not that good. Will that have an effect on Rico?
Nah, we've played in this kind of weather before. Obviously, I'll have to see what the situation is as the game progresses. But we anticipate decent weather, and we anticipate playing the game. That's all.
Mets fans have gotten a little bit of a glimpse at your shortstop, Rey Ordonez, but I think the fans here at Shea can't wait to see him throughout the season. He's a special talent.
There's no you hit the main word, special. I've been around a long, long time. These kind of kids don't come along very often. He really has great feet, great hands, great anticipation. He knows game situations. He can play defense with the best of them. You're going to have a fun summer with him.
All right, Dallas, thanks for spending time with us. Good luck in 1996. Now, Dallas, of course, a veteran of the National League. The St. Louis manager making his National League debut, and he's standing by with our Fran Healy.
Okay, Matty, I'm standing here with a guy who's considered the best manager in all of baseball, Tony La Russa. And, Tony, what is going to be the biggest adjustment for you coming into the National League?
These planes. I think it's just the personnel, Fran. I think when you manage, one thing that everybody tells you got to do is you try to put guys in good positions and avoid the tough ones. You can't do that unless you know personnel, yours and the other ones, and I think that's the biggest one, early adjustment.
Now, guys have talked about you as far as managing the whole game. Some managers don't manage till late in the ball game. Why do you start early in the game?
Well, yeah, everybody's a product of what they learn, you know, and the guys that taught me about managing always told me that a bunch of games are decided the first half of the game. You know, it's not always the last half, and, you know, we just wait to make a pitching change. Some decision you make in the first 4 or 5 innings could contribute. So I think there's only 9 innings. It's not that tough to get ready for all of them.
Now, they consider the American League a push-button league for managers. Is it?
Well, I've defended that one pretty aggressively for years. I always thought it was an insult when you had managers like Sparky Anderson and Billy Martin, and I used to watch them from the other side and saw how involved they were in all the things they were doing. And then I hear somebody say, well, with a DH, you just sit there and fall asleep to the 7th inning. I know it's not true. I know it's different in the American League versus the National League, with the National League having a pitcher in the lineup. But American League managing is more involved than people give it credit.
Now, you have a very sensitive situation here in St. Louis. A legend might end his career under your reign. How difficult is that for you?
It's going to be difficult. It depends on the players. Ozzy's attitude, Royce's attitude could make it real difficult. So far in spring training, they've really competed. You know, they both won playing time. The beneficiary is the St. Louis Cardinals, because we're going to have a quality shortstop every game we play. But throughout the season, it's going to be something to watch closely, because I doubt that either guy will be playing as much as they really want to.
Now, Tony, you went out and picked up a couple guys in the American League that hit a lot of home runs. I should say one guy in particular, Gaetti, but you have a home run hitter out in left field also, Ron Gant. Busch Stadium is known as not a home run hitter's ballpark. Are you concerned?
Well, I was concerned with the run total of the club last year, Fran. I mean, it was really down worse than baseball. And when you look, there were several reasons, but one of them was extra pop in the middle of the lineup. We had a couple of guys in the outfield could hit for extra bases, but adding a Ron Gant, who's a legitimate home run threat, Gary Gaetti has always been this way in the last couple of years in Kansas City. I mean, his bat's just gotten a lot of life. So I think it just adds balance to our lineup.
You also went out and brought in a lot of guys you've had in the past. Managers tend to relate to guys they've had success with. Can you have a problem as far as age is concerned?
Yeah, I think so. I think you got to be careful. Even Gary Gaetti, I never had him. I played against him. He's in his 30s. So you don't handle him this year or play him just like he did when he first came up in Minnesota. Dennis Eckersley, Honeycutt, we've been careful with those guys for several years. Todd Stottlemyre's in the middle of his career, so I think he can just go like a horse. I think that the key thing is that, you know, we had certain needs, and if you happen to know a guy and he's available, then you're lucky if you can get him.
Anyway, thank you very much. Good luck here in the National League.
Appreciate it, Fran. Thank you.
My special guest, Tony La Russa. Stay with us. We come back more of the Met pregame show right after these messages.
Guys, since I'm one of the old-timers on our team, I like to give you kids the benefit of my experience. So ask me anything you like.
Hey, Franco, where's the best place to buy a TV set?
Nobody beats the Wiz, of course.
How about CD player?
Nobody beats the Wiz.
A cell phone?
Nobody beats the Wiz. But guys, ask me a baseball question.
Hey, John, what was it like to pitch to Babe Ruth?
It's opening day at Shea. A little bit of rain falling, but that hasn't deterred Jason Isringhausen or Paul Wilson, nor the fans. We're getting autographs as we make our way toward the opening pitch for the 1996 season. Well, over 40,000 expected here this afternoon, and just a few moments ago, our Mike Harris spent some time with the faithful making their way to Shea.
All right, Matt. Well, you know, it's raining lightly here, but it hasn't dampened the spirits of these Met fans. Are you believing all that's been written and said about this Mets pitching staff and this team? They have a chance to make the playoffs?
I think they have a good chance of making the playoffs this year. It's a wild card, at least. It's going to be a good year. Nice young players. It's a good team. They like trying. They try hard. Harder than the past few years tried.
How many opening days does this make for you?
My 26th year in a row opening day.
Everybody expects a lot. What do you think?
I think the Mets are going to be a wild card this year.
You think they can actually do it?
Yes, sir. They're an underrated team. They have a good manager, and the money is there, and there's a lot of fan support. The Mets are going to win the wild card, and look for them to do damage in the playoffs.
New York Magic is back. Do you believe that, really?
Absolutely, I believe that. With Isringhausen, Pulsifer, Paul Wilson, young arms, we've got it. We're going to take it this year. We're going to beat the Yankees. We're going to get a better record than the Yankees. And we're the team that's going to be playing in October. I'm convinced of that. I know that.
Well, Matt, rain or shine, these Met fans are pumped for this opening day.
Well, indeed, the fans excited about the start of the 1996 season and happy about the return of Rico Brogna. A few weeks ago, no one would have paid much money to make a bet that he'd be in the lineup, but indeed, he'll be in the starting lineup, and we'll talk with him right after this. Welcome back to Inside the Game, brought to you by Infinity. And 3 weeks ago, I don't know if anyone would have expected Rico Brogna to be in the starting lineup at first base for the Mets. And Rico, a bit of a miraculous recovery for you.
Yeah, I really have to give the trainers and doctors a lot of credit for getting me ready for this day. When it first happened, I really didn't think I'd be out here on opening day. Thought it'd be at least another week or two, but we worked hard and they pushed me, and it's great to be out here.
Now, the weather is not the best, threat of rain. Any concerns?
No, not really. I mean, if it was extremely cold, I'd have to take extra time getting it loose, but this is fine, and actually for a first week, you know, April 1st, it's kind of nice.
Now, you've been away from the team for a while as you rehabilitate. What's it like getting reacquainted with some guys, because they put on a nice stretch toward the end of spring training?
Well, everyone played real well, and boy, Butch had a great spring, and the team had a good spring, and it's frustrating to just be able to watch. You know, you want to get out there and help contribute and be part of the team, and so my main goal was to be out here today when it really counts, and you know, we have a good group, and we're going to work well together.
The glove is something that's not going to go away for you, but it's a new infield, a new second baseman, new third baseman, new shortstop being away for a few weeks. Is it going to take a little while to get back into the flow defensively?
Well, I'm hoping not, really. I don't think it will. I think Ray's going to play as good as he will with any first baseman, and Vizzy and Jeff will do fine. I've played with them for a while, so I know them. I'm just going to have to, you know, get used to the double play combination. But really, it's just something where I hopefully can step back into it and pick up where I left off.
What are you expecting offensively? Is it going to take some time to get your timing back?
Well, it's going to be a wait-and-see kind of thing. You know, I got a lot of at-bats this last week. I really loaded up on them in the minor league games, and I feel like my mechanics are great now. I just have to make sure my timing is good with the pitches, and it's going to be a wait-and-see thing, but hopefully it'll be fine.
This is a fairly young ball club. You had a great year last year. Everyone expecting you to pick up and continue. Will you also be a leader? Do you have to take on that role?
Well, I think anytime you're put right in the middle of the lineup and an everyday player, you're expected to produce, and that puts you in a leadership position. Being a young team, I've played here, geez, it's only been a couple of years, but it seems like I've been here as long as most of the guys. So there's no question that I'm going to have to be consistent and produce throughout the whole season.
And Mets fans in Dallas Green happy that he'll be in the starting lineup here on opening day. Why don't we send it across the field? Mike Harris standing by with a future Hall of Famer.
Matt, thanks very much. I am with St. Louis Cardinals shortstop, 15 years with the St. Louis Cardinals, Ozzie Smith, and a good old friend. Ozzie, how is this season different from other ones?
I don't know. You know, this year coming into spring training, after having surgery last year, you know, there was a lot of question mark as to my health, you know, and as to whether or not I would still be able to play shortstop. And, you know, so going into spring training, I had to prove that I could get myself in good shape, prove to me that I could get myself in good enough shape, and I felt that I did, and had a pretty decent spring. I was able to do some extra work, which I'd been used to in my most of my career, and the last 4 or 5 years have been very tough. Tough years from a health standpoint, and wasn't able to do the extra work, but this spring I was able to get back in the swing of things, and I had a pretty decent spring.
When did you know during your rehab that you were ready?
Well, you know, you can work, and you never really know until you actually get out there in situations and have to, you know, take that hard throw or dive or whatever. And, you know, I felt that, you know, my throwing and stuff before I went to spring training, it felt pretty good. But here again, it hadn't been tested as far as somebody running the first base. And I had a couple plays in the spring where I had to dive and I had to get up and throw it with everything that I had. And I got up and I realized at that point that everything was sound, you know. So I would have to say it was probably midway spring.
What are your feelings on really having to prove yourself?
It's not about proving myself. I don't have to prove to anybody, because what you've done, you've done. You can't take that away. You know? So there's no proving to anybody about anything. The only proving that I had to do was to myself, that I could get myself in the type of shape that I was capable of getting in. And you know, when I'm healthy, then you know what I do speaks for itself.
A lot of people said, you know, Ozzie Smith, 41 years old, he has absolutely no business playing shortstop, but you're the starting shortstop for the Cardinals. You have overcome all that. How do you react to all the things that people have said, you know, over the winter?
I mean, you know, I really try not to get caught up in that. Sure, you'd like for people to say nice things about you, but that's not going to happen. You know, I've been doing what I do for 18 years, and generally what that comes from is people that, they're the experts. The experts are the people that have never done what I've done, you know, so I don't listen to that. I do my thing the way I feel I can best do it. I've been doing it for 18 years, and I'll continue to do that.
When you came back to camp, a new manager, a new shortstop, Royce Clayton, how has your relationship been with Royce?
We've had a great relationship, and our relationship is not adversarial. I got that squared away with him right away, and it's an unfortunate situation that was created, and you know, you deal with it as best you can. We're both professionals. I do my thing the way I do it. He does his thing the way he do it, and that's just the way it is. It's a situation that should have never been created, but it was, and you just deal with it, and we dealt with it.
What does the future hold past this season? I know this is game 1 of 162, but from this point on?
Just working hard, you know, trying to do what you do, and do it consistently, as I've always done my whole career. And that's for all of the doubters and everybody out there that have ever doubted what I've done. And sometimes it's a little frustrating when you go out and you're consistent at what you do and you work hard at it, and still, even after you do it, you know, you have people say, well, no, you can't do it, and stuff. But all you can do is what you do, and you try and...
Well, this was, of course, at Sportsman's Park, and Casey Stengel was the manager of the New York Mets. Gil Hodge is, of course, the first baseman on that ball club. Great ball player. Richie Ashburn was in center field for the New York Mets, and the Mets lost that ball game by a score of 11-4 as they started out and lost their first 8 ball games that year and won their 9th ball game behind the pitching of Jay Hook, who won it in the Polo Grounds.
Well, you've had 35 years to think about it. Were you able to figure out what Casey was telling you in the dugout after all these years?
I don't think anybody could figure out what Casey was talking about at any time, no matter how long they were around him. But he was a great part of that team back in 1962. He was our star, as a matter of fact. And, of course, the Mets that year lost 120 ball games.
Fran Healy joins us once again this season. Fran, you've been around the Mets now since 1984. How about some of your opening day memories?
Well, Howie, as you mentioned, everybody's sky high, so you can be tricked by opening day. A couple of years ago, Tuffy Rhodes with the Chicago Cubs hit 3 home runs opening day against Doc Gooden. He went on to hit about 8 home runs that year, and he tricked us for quite a while. So as I mentioned, a lot of excitement on opening day. A lot of players feel the season really starts the second game of the year.
Again, it's been raining for the better part of an hour now, but the field is not covered. It has not been a particularly heavy downpour, and so it's very likely that they will get this game in as scheduled. The Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals coming up with the season's opener from Shea Stadium. We'll have plenty more from Shea. First, though, let's send you to Joe Amato in our Sports Authority Game Time studios.
Guys, since I'm one of the old-timers on our team, I like to give you kids the benefit of my experience. So ask me anything you like.
Hey, Franco, where's the best place to buy a TV set?
Nobody beats the Wiz, of course.
How about CD player?
Nobody beats the Wiz.
A cell phone?
Nobody beats the Wiz. But guys, ask me a baseball question.
Hey, John, what was it like to pitch to Babe Ruth?
Very cordial welcome to Shea Stadium as the New York Mets open their 35th season in the National League. Today, the Mets are hosting their longtime rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals. It is my pleasure to introduce the 1996 St. Louis Cardinals. Starting his 18th year managing in the major leagues,
3 times Manager of the Year, the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, Tony La Russa. Now the starting lineup and batting order. Leading off, the 1985 National League MVP, making his return to the Cardinals, the right fielder, number 51, Willie McGee. Batting second and playing shortstop, he has won the Gold Glove 13 times. He is the Wizard, Ozzie Smith. Batting third, he led the Cardinals last year in home runs, RBIs, and stolen bases. The center fielder, number 16, Ray Langford. The cleanup batter for St. Louis, 29 home runs with the Reds last year. The left fielder, number 5, Ron Gant. Batting fifth, he crushed a career-high 35 home runs with the Kansas City Royals last year. The third baseman, number 8, Gary Gaetti. Batting sixth, he hit .307 in his rookie year. The first baseman, number 47, John Mabry. Batting seventh and catching, the World Series MVP of the 1991 Toronto Blue Jays, number 38, Pat Borders. Batting eighth, making his return to the St. Louis Cardinals after a year with the Red Sox, the second baseman, number 12, Luis Alicea. And warming up in the bullpen, he was 7-2 with the Seattle Mariners following a mid-season trade in '95. Number 40, Andy Bettis. And now for the rest of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now we'll meet the coaches of the St. Louis Cardinals. Number 15, the third base coach, and a one-time New York Met, Tommy Reynolds. Number 25, the hitting coach, George Hendry. Number 28, the bench coach, Ron Hasse. Number 39, the first base coach, Dave McKay. And in the bullpen coach, number 9, Mark DeJohn. The pitching coach, number 18, Dave Duncan. And the players, number 4, catcher Danny Schaefer. Number 11, infielder Royce Clayton. Number 23, outfielder Mark Sweeney. Number 24, pitcher Tom Urbani. Number 27, infielder David Bell. Number 30, pitcher Todd Stottlemyre. Number 32, pitcher Rick Honeycutt. Number 33, pitcher T.J. Matthews. Number 35, outfielder Miguel Mejia. Number 41, pitcher Alan Bayless. Number 43, Number 43, pitcher Dennis Eckersley. Number 48, pitcher Tony Fawcett. Number 49, pitcher Jeff Parrott. Number 55, outfielder Terry Bradshaw. And number 57, pitcher Mike Busby. The equipment manager of the Cardinals, Buddy Bates. The trainer, Gene Gieselman. The assistant trainer, Brad Henderson. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1996 St. Louis Cardinals. And now to introduce the 1996 New York Mets our Broadcasting Hall of Famer, Ralph Kiner.
Thank you, Bob. This is his 4th season at the helm of the New York Mets. Number 46, manager Dallas Green. Leading off for the Mets is 186 hits, led the American League last year. Number 1, center fielder Lance Johnson. Batting second, a career 282 hitter, number 23, left fielder Bernard Gilkey. Batting third, he led the Mets in home run, RBI, and batting average last season. First baseman, number 26, Rico Brogna. Batting cleanup and playing right field. He hit .402 this spring and led National Leaguers with 33 spring training hits. Number 42, Butch Husky. Batting fifth, he was second among National League second basemen in home runs in 1995. Now at third base, number 12, Jeff Kent. Batting sixth and catching, he recovered from wrist surgery to hit .367 this spring. Number 9, Todd Hundley. Batting seventh, the Mets MVP last season, second baseman number 15, Jose Vizcaíno. Batting eighth and playing shortstop. Known for his defensive powers, he finished second to Roberto Alomar in Puerto Rico in the Winter League with a .351 batting average this fall. Number 0, Rey Ordonez. And warming up in the bullpen, he led the Mets in wins in 1995, number 28, Bobby Jones. And now for the rest of the New York Mets. Third base coach, Mike Covey. Bench coach, Bobby Wine. Hitting coach, Tom McCraw. First base and outfield coach, Frank Howard. Also in the bullpen coach Steve Swisher, pitching coach Grave Pavlik. Now for the rest of the Mets players. Number 3, outfielder Carl Everett. Number 5, outfielder Chris Jones. Number 11, infielder Tim Bogart. Number 13, infielder Edgardo Alfonso. Number 17, catcher Brett Bain. Number 18, outfielder Kevin Roberson. Number 21, pitcher Bill Pulsifer. Number 27, pitcher Pete Harney. Number 29, pitcher Robert Person. Number 31, pitcher John Franco. Number 32, Paul Wilson, pitcher. Number 34, pitcher Blas Minor. Number 35, pitcher Doug Henry. Number 38, pitcher Dave Malecki. Number 39, pitcher Juan Acevedo. Number 43, pitcher Paul Bird. Number 44, pitcher Jason Isringhausen. Number 45, pitcher Jerry DiPoto. Number 47, pitcher Mark Clark. And number 49, pitcher Bob McDonald.
The equipment manager of the Mets, Charlie Samuels. Assistant equipment manager, Vinny Greco. The head trainer, Fred Hina. Assistant trainer, Sam McCrary. Strength and conditioning coordinator, Jim Mangold. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your 1996 New York Mets.
Thank you. Tony La Russa is managing the booming bats of newly acquired Ron Gant and Gary Gaetti. For the New York Mets, it's a call to arms for Dallas Green as his young team takes its first step to what they believe will be a magical year. So get ready, because it's time to play ball. It's the 35th year the New York Mets have been in business, and they'll open 1996 the way they opened their first season, by playing the St. Louis Cardinals. Hi again, everyone. I'm Howie Rose, joined by Fran Healy. 35 years of New York Mets baseball, and even with a couple of championships, Fran, not that many seasons in their history have started as optimistically as this one.
No, it hasn't, Howie, and the focus is on young players. We talked about it earlier. We talked about Ordonez, a kid who was not even on the Major League roster. He's the starting shortstop today, and it seems like everything defensively will revolve around the Cuban shortstop, and he can play shortstop. The only question mark, will he swing the bat in the Major Leagues? And, of course, let's not forget the pitching staff. They have some fine young pitchers. The spotlight's been on Paul Wilson for certain, also Juan Acevedo, Jason Isringhausen, and of course Bill Pulsfer out right now.
Opening day, of course, a fresh start for everyone, including managers. Several new managers around the major leagues this year. One of them here at Shea Stadium as Tony La Russa takes over the St. Louis Cardinals.
And Tony La Russa, considered the best manager in all of baseball. You see, he's joined by former Met Ray Knight. How about Davey Johnson in Baltimore after a successful campaign in Cincinnati? Joe Torre managing in the Bronx. That should be a fine experience. Then you got Buddy Bell and Art Howe. So 6 new managers. And as I mentioned, Tony La Russa, a terrific manager with a great track record.
Hey, you know what? Not only are managers vulnerable these days, but general managers often take hits, and that means a lot of movement in the front offices around the major leagues. Look at some of the changes that have taken place on that level.
Well, former assistant general manager here at Shea, Jerry Hunsaker, who really knows the game. And Jim Beattie got a shot at being a general manager up in Montreal. That's a tough job. Then you got Kevin Towers.
Pardon? You caught Beattie, too, didn't you?
Well, no, you know, I did not. I remember years ago, the Yankees said, look, we got a fine young prospect. You're going to work closely with him in spring training, and that was my last spring training.
I guess you showed him, huh?
I certainly did.
Pat Gillick also with the Baltimore Orioles, working with Davey Johnson. And not only are the Orioles going to fashion and sport a lot of new faces, boy, you almost can't remember now who was playing for whom when last season came to a close.
Well, it's almost impossible. I asked a few of the managers in spring training, could you name all the rosters? The National League managers said I can name the rosters in the National League. The American League managers said I can only name the rosters in the American League. A lot of movement, and it's unfortunate, I think, for baseball, but good for the players.
Right up to the last minute in spring training, the Mets were forced to do some business. They completed a deal with the Cleveland Indians yesterday, making Ryan Thompson a former New York Met.
And Ryan Thompson did not get to Cleveland because of the snowstorm. Mark Clark is not here in New York because of the snowstorm. But Ryan Thompson, now a member of the Indians, along with Reed Cornelius. So I should, it's just unbelievable that these players are having trouble getting around because of the snow in Cleveland.
All right, friends. Snow in Cleveland is right. 4 inches, last we heard, and that's already postponed today's Yankee opener against the Indians. You open on April 1st, that's what you get. But we'll be back after this. Well, even with the rain coming down here at Shea Stadium today, it's pretty hard to believe what this place looked like, about 72 hours ago. In fact, I flew down from New York on Friday morning for the preseason game in Tampa Friday night. Here's what Shea Stadium looked like just a few days ago.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Howie, the start of the season certainly the earliest in the history of the game of baseball. We are starting on April the 1st, and it's no April Fool's Day. The field is in good shape. It's amazing how they can do that. They have a great grounds crew here at Shea Stadium. This stadium built for the 1964 season. The Mets played their first 2 years in the old Polo Grounds in 1962 and 1963.
Well, the 1996 Mets are taking the field for the first time, and there you see today's starting pitcher, Bobby Jones, who Ralph will be looking to come back from a pretty tough second half of last season.
Well, Bobby Jones is a very unusual type pitcher. He doesn't throw that hard. He has 3 good pitches, a changeup, a good curveball that he uses as a change of pace, taking different speeds off the curveball. And he has a fastball that he can sneak by you after he sets you up. Bobby, with a lifetime record of 24 wins and 21 losses, it wasn't too long ago, 3 years, that he was the heir apparent to the throne left vacated by Tom Seaver. Bobby last year 10-10. He has a lifetime record against the Cardinals of 1 win and 1 loss. Last year he was 0-1 against St. Louis. And he opened last year in Colorado in the game that was played in the snow. So he's used to these conditions, although he comes from Fresno, California, a very hot place in the center of California, and the same town that produced such pitchers as Tom Seaver, Dick Ellsworth, and Dick Soma.
That does not look like a pitcher shaking hands with Bobby Jones, and it's not. It's Governor George Pataki out there along with New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani for the first ball ceremonies, except you got to have a ball. And that's what the governor is waiting for right now. So the mayor and the governor probably in about as friendly a dialogue as we've heard about them having between each other in a long time.
How about that? Left-handed, huh?
I'll tell you what, the Mets could use some help from the left side right now because Bill Pulsipher will have an MRI tomorrow on his elbow. And Ralph, nobody's too terribly optimistic about seeing Bill Pulsipher on the mound anytime soon.
Well, he's awfully young. The second time he's gone down with that bad arm. It's not something that breeds a lot of confidence in his physical ability.
Well, let's take a look at the batting orders for this afternoon's ball game, brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers as the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets play for the 6th time on opening day. And Ralph, there's the Cardinal lineup.
And they start out with an old-timer with the St. Louis Cardinals, an MVP for St. Louis, Willie McGee. Back in the Cardinal uniform, he'll be in right field. Batting second, the shortstop Royce Clayton, acquired from San Francisco. Batting third, the center fielder Ray Langford. Batting fourth and playing third base from Cincinnati, Ron Gant, the comeback player of the year last year. Batting fifth, the newcomer, Gant in left field, a newcomer at third base, Gary Gaetti. Batting sixth at first base, John Mabry. Batting seventh, another newcomer, Pat Borders, who went to camp on the minor league roster. Batting in the 8th position, the second baseman, Louis Alcia, another returnee to the St. Louis Cardinals. And Andy Bennis, the pitcher, batting ninth.
Oh, you note that abbreviation, AN, as in Andy Bennis. AL will be Alan Bennis. The Mets will see him on Thursday afternoon of the final game of the series. But here's Bobby Jones. We told you about the rocky second half of his season last year. And this spring he started 6 times, going 2-2 with an earned run average of 5.72, giving up a lot of base hits, 39 in 28 and a third innings pitched. But Bobby Jones will have his 2nd consecutive opening day assignment for the New York Mets. Pitching stats brought to you by Starter. And as Willie McGee steps in for the Cardinals, we'll show you the Mets defensive lineup, brought to you by MetLife. Rico Bronya makes it to opening day. The knee is all right, wearing a brace. Vizcaíno, Ordonez, and Kent the rest of the infield. Gilkey, Johnson, and Husky left to right of the outfield for the New York Mets. And your battery, Bobby Jones and Todd Hundley. And so Willie McGee, who came to the Cardinals from the Yankee system after the 1981 season and proceeded to have a tremendous year in '82, where he led the Cardinals, or helped them anyway, to the World Championship. Back in St. Louis now after stints with Oakland and San Francisco, and last year with the Boston Red Sox. And to be wondering why Willie is squatting rather than standing in the batter's box. Got to get the dignitaries and the politicians all set up in their private box to the left of the Met dugout. And there it is.
of the things about Willie McGee, having seen him play so many years for the St. Louis Cardinals, he led the Cardinals in batting in 1995 with a .353 average. He is not the epitome of the batting style you'd want to see. He does everything wrong, but because of those great wheels, as ball players call legs, he can hit and get on base. Willie McGee, who came to camp as a non-roster player and made the squad.
In fact, he was not even in the original opening day lineup, but Brian Jordan hurt his thumb yesterday and has gone back to St. Louis. So Willie McGee steps in to lead off against Bobby Jones, and welcome to the baseball season. Strike one to McGee.
Has a lifetime batting average of .297. Played for Boston last year. Not too frequently.
Swings through a breaking ball, and Jones in front, 0-2.
That was a good curveball right there by Jones. He's one of the few pitchers left in baseball that throws a curveball. Most of them throw the slider or slurve, one or the other.
And the 0-2 to McGee, just off the outside corner, 1-2. Bobby's fourth career start against the Redbirds. Lost to them last year, 3-0 on a somewhat similar day here at Shea Stadium. In fact, it rained even harder that day than it is right now. Curveball in the dirt, and it's 2-2. Slight breeze right now, blowing out towards right, and it was not all that strong a breeze about a month ago either, but between now and then, it really kicked up. Now it's slackened off just a bit, so Jones will go to work once again, 2-2. Ordonez handles his first big lead play flawlessly, and there's one.
Ordonez in his first chance in spring training for the New York Mets. Threw the ball away for an error. Harry makes a good pickup of very, not an easy play right there. Ball makes an accurate throw to first base to Brony at first base. Ordonez, outstanding defensive player.
Ralph, here's a guy with a lot of pressure on him this season. Starting shortstop for the Cardinals. Fastball. This was going to start today with the last-minute stretch. His problematic shoulder factors, but Royce Clayton ultimately will replace a legend in St. Louis.
18 years in the major leagues, the last 15 with the St. Louis Cardinals, and when he does play shortstop, he'll be the 7th shortstop in major league history to play shortstop at the age of 41.
So this is brand new for the Cardinals, not only because their manager is new, but since 1982, Ozzie Smith had started every game at shortstop for the Cardinals, at least every opening game. Clayton takes on the outside corner for strike one. That curveball just missed. Bobby Jones behind 2-1. Jones was saying last year he just could not get a feel for the ball that cold night in Denver. The crackling fastball there, even to count.
You set that fastball up with the pitch before, a good curveball. The change in the speeds of those two pitches about 15 miles an hour, and that's what makes them both good.
And the 2-2 on the way. Bobby Jones for Bronya, and there are 2 out. Ralph, when you see his follow-through, you figure he should be a real good defensive.
Batting third, number 16, center fielder Ray Langford.
Follow through and in perfect fielding position when he ends up after the delivery. Right here he throws a slider, which is a sharp breaking curveball. That was the fastball from the first pitch to the next batter.
So now Jones faces Ray Langford, Cardinals' number 3 hitter, their center fielder. And another curveball misses outside and low, 1-0. Langford, a .277 hitter last year with 25 homers and 82 RBIs. Ripped to Vizcaíno at second, a 1-2-3 inning for Bobby Jones. So Jones keeps the ball on the ground, and the Cardinals first.
And now the defensive alignment for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Now let's take a look at the Mets batting order against Andy Bennis this afternoon, Ralph.
And it's brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers. It'll be Lance Johnson leading off. He'll be in center field. Batting second, the left fielder Bernard Gilkey. Batting in the third position, Rico Bronya. He's at first base. Batting fourth, Butch Husky, the right fielder. Batting fifth at third base, Jeff Kent. Batting sixth and catching, Todd Hundley. Batting seventh, the second baseman, Jose Vizcaíno. Batting eighth, the shortstop, Rey Ordonez. And Bobby Jones, the pitcher, batting ninth.
Andy Bennis signed with the Cardinals as a free agent over the winter after finishing out with the Seattle Mariners. Started last year with his original big league club, the San Diego Padres. Was a combined 11-9. And Lance Johnson is about to make his New York Mets debut. And that fastball misses downstairs. Andy Bennis, 6 feet 6 inches tall, 245 pounds. You look at his record last year after the move to Seattle. Strike one to Johnson, and note the inflated ERA of 5.86 with the Seattle Mariners. And the pitching stats brought to you by Starter. John Mabry handles that one at first, and there's one away. Got one of those stingers on the hands, Ralph?
Well, it's always tough when it's cold on the hitters. I think the
batting second, number 33,
weather than hitters do. Johnson hitting that ground ball sharply, and last year he hit more ground balls than any other American League player. A matter of 282 ground ball outs. He hits the ball well and tries to keep it on the ground.
Well, Johnson came through the St. Louis system, and so did the next batter, Bernard Gilkey, making his Mets debut. Makes a big swing and a miss. Gilkey last year with the Cardinals hit .298 with 17 homers and 69 RBIs, and was slow to come around this spring, as you see. That's hit well to right field. Drifting back is McGee. It's playable, and there are two away. So Gilkey flies to right. And here's a guy, Ralph, we weren't sure would be in the Mets lineup opening day, Rico Bronya.
Officially, he had only 2 at-bats in spring training playing in regular games. He was in quite a few big games and had quite a few at-bats there, but hampered by an injury in spring training, so he comes in without a whole lot of hitting against Major League pitching.
Gave him a lot of work in the minor league complex over the last couple of days. Takes ball one there. I
was going to say how he had one of the best years of any Mets player, 289 last year. That led the team in hitting. He also led the team in 2 base hits with 27 and home runs with 22, RBIs with 76. Very strong-looking ball player, and that slider just ate him up.
Gaetti puts it away, and the Mets go in order. So a strong inning for Andy Bennis in his St. Louis Cardinals debut. And at the end of one on opening day at Shea, we're scoreless.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The 1996 New York Mets, the start of something big. Season tickets for the 1996 season are on sale now. For information, call 718-507-TIXX during business hours.
In the middle of the Redbirds batting order against Bobby Jones here in the St. Louis second, Rod Gant, Gary Gaetti, and John Mabry. As Gant makes his Cardinal debut, coming over in the offseason as a free agent from the Cincinnati Reds. Check swing for strike one. See Gant's spring training numbers. Last year with Cincinnati, he batted .276 with 29 homers and 88 RBIs. Missed the entire previous season after that motorbike accident. And a curveball for strike two. Bobby Jones working quickly in the early going. Again, trying to slow him down. Slider away, 1-2.
His comeback really amazing. Not many ball clubs wanted to take a chance with him after that devastating broken leg.
Fastball misses 2-2. Braves simply released him.
And that was a story of money because he had that real good comeback here, and the Braves felt they just didn't have enough money to spread around to pick up Gant again.
Just outside. And so Jones is now behind 3-2.
Well, Gant's an unbelievable fastball hitter. This is a good slider right there, just does miss. Now if he comes in with a fastball, Gant, a real fastball hitter. He tried the slider and missed. Well, that's really a tough walk because he made some awfully good pitches there. And a leadoff walk for the Cardinals, the first base runner of the ballgame. But you can't afford to throw fastballs to Gant because he is that strong. He really sits on the fastball.
And another good fastball hitter making his National League debut, Gary Gaetti steps in. Gaetti last year played with Kansas City, left as a free agent after hitting 35 homers and driving in 96 runs. So Gant with a lead off first, and Jones checks him and throws over.
Yeah, the great thing, when he signed, he said, I'm signing with the Cardinals for the season this year after hitting 35 home runs, because I feel just as good as I did at the age of 36. He's now 37.
Strike on Gaetti.
Talking to some of the scouts that follow spring training, they said that they felt he's lost some range at third base, but still has the good hands and certainly had his greatest year last year. Different leg, though.
Ron Gant with 23 stolen bases a year ago, so Bobby Jones watching him. And of course, I guess they could help Gaetti out a little bit by doing something in St. Louis they haven't been able to do for a while, and that's grow the grass up high around third base.
It's pretty hard to grow that artificial turf out.
In the seats and out of play, 0-2. Got to keep an eye on Rico Bronia's knee also, making pivots, quick stops and starts. But in St. Louis this year, they will go to natural grass for the first time since 1970. About time, huh?
Artificial turf is really it's tough on baseball.
Like Richie Allen's old line, if the horse can't eat it, I don't want to play on it. And again, Jones mindful of Gant. Gaetti, best known, of course, as a Minnesota Twin. Gant measures his lead. Does not go, and the fastball misses up high, 1-2. Twins starting to pick up now. I told you at the start of the game how it was pretty quiet, but it started to kick out now, blowing from right to left.
Yeah, it switched around.
Yep. Fouled straight back, and the count holds 1-2. Well, the wind tends to swirl in this ballpark, which can make life miserable for outfielders. Right now, you see the wind at only 10 miles an hour. The rain's been coming down at various degrees of intensity since about 10:30 this morning. But the field's in relatively good shape. Gant is running, and it's lined up the middle for a base hit. Gant will cruise into third, and Gaetti is on with a single. The Cardinals have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Batting six, number 47, first baseman John Mabry.
Gary Gaetti, a 1,000 National League hitter.
Well, Gant's on the run here. It's a fastball and hit hard by Gaetti up the middle, and Gant able to go first to third because of the hit and run play.
That'll bring up the big first baseman John Mabry. Mabry last year led all the rookies in batting at 307 in the National League, but he didn't have enough at-bats to qualify for the batting title. The fastball misses up high, 1-0.
The last rookie to hit better than Mabry for the St. Louis Cardinals, a player named Johnny Mize, going way back to the 30s.
Hall of Famer with over 50 home runs. Mabry stepping out. Obviously, they'd like more power from him. And that just missed inside. 2-0. So Ron Gant taking his lead off of third base. Gaetti at first, nobody out. No score here in the second. 2-1 on Mabry. Now that's last year, and it shows you what he did among other rookies in the National League, but again, he didn't have enough at-bats to qualify for the batting title. You see Alfonso of the Mets, who for the time being is a utility infielder. 2-1 on Mabry. Nobody out here in the Cardinals' second, no score. And that missed up high, and suddenly Bobby Jones has trouble locating. It's 3-1. Ralph, would it become increasingly difficult to get the proper feel on the ball under conditions such as these?
When it's cold, the leather on the ball becomes slick.
That's popped up behind the plate. Hundley's over for a look, but it's just a couple of rows back.
When that ball is slick or feels slick, it's tough to throw breaking balls. Of course, to get the spin on the ball, you need a lot of friction. And you'll see a pitcher do a lot of rubbing on the ball, roughing it up. We had a pitcher with Pittsburgh back in the 40s named Max Butcher, who was so strong he could actually twist the cover and loosen it. He was amazing.
Good thing he wasn't an infielder with that name. 3-2 on Mabry.
Or a catcher.
Runners lead first and third, and that's hit well up the alley in left center. Johnson over. There's Johnson makes the catch. Cruising in from third is Gant. And the Cardinals, on the sacrifice fly by John Mabry, take a 1-0 lead.
Boy, when this ball was hit, it looked like extra bases. The fastball hit very hard, and Johnson just outran this ball. He ran it down, made a relatively easy catch. He falls as he tries to turn to make a throw. And so Johnson really flagging that one down. As you look at it at regular speed, he's okay. Fine defensive play there, and that ball goes through for extra bases. It's another ball game.
So newly acquired catcher Pat Borders takes a breaking ball for strike one. Borders last year played with Kansas City and Houston after a career with the Toronto Blue Jays and had a good spring. Tom Pagnozzi starts this season on the disabled list for the Cardinals. He's their regular catcher, but he's got an inflamed left wrist. That curve missed inside. 1-1. Cardinals desperately need more from their catchers offensively than they got last year. Pagnozzi did not have a good year. They brought Borders in. It's a new-look Cardinal team, not only in the dugout with manager Tony La Russa. 2-1. You see La Russa there, and coaching staff largely made up of his former Oakland A's coaches, most notably Dave Duncan, the pitching coach. He's got a great reputation, Duncan, doesn't he, Ralph?
Sure does. Managers usually carry their coaches with them when they do change positions. Joe Torre, the same thing at moving to the Yankees.
So Tony La Russa, who said before the game, it will be more of a challenge managing in the National League without the cushion of the DH. Bounce wide of third. Kent gets the force at second. And they rule that Vizcaíno had possession long enough, so the fielder's choice goes 5-4. And there are two out. Luis Alicea will be the hitter.
Most errors are made when you're trying to get a double play when you really shouldn't be. Vizcaíno losing possession of the ball, thinking he had a chance at a double play. He really didn't. Kent making a good accurate throw to second. That's probably the toughest play for a third baseman. Getting the ball for the double play to the second baseman.
And now Jose Vizcaíno, a full-time second baseman, at least for the time being. And here's the Cardinals' counterpart at that position, Luis Alicea. Strike one. Alicea, a one-time #1 draft pick of the Cardinals. Played last year with the Boston Red Sox. They released him.
That was back in 1986.
And that's blooped into short left field, but it drops foul as Jeff Kent led the charge. Kent, Ordonez, and Gilkey all after it. What do you think of the way he performed defensively at third base this spring from the games you saw, Ralph?
I thought he did a very good job. Of course, the position isn't new. He's played third base. Third base easier to play than second by far. You know, one thing about Kent, though, at second base last year, he played a good second base. A lot of people knocked him on his defensive ability, but he had really improved at second base last year. He's a hard-working guy, and I think he'll do well at third base.
0-2 on Luis Alicea. 2 out in the Cardinals' second. St. Louis leading 1-0. Runner goes, strike 3, so it doesn't matter. So Alicea fanned by Bobby Jones. First strikeout for Jones. Cardinals get a run on a hit, and they leave 1. The end of 1.5, 1-0, St. Louis. We'd like to extend a special welcome to those watching on Adelphia Cable in Ocean County, New Jersey, where SportsChannel is now a part of their standard service. Hope you can enjoy us all season long with great Mets action right here on SportsChannel. So welcome aboard Adelphia Cable, Ocean County, New Jersey.
Well, there he is, Stan the Man Musial. He got that nickname from the Brooklyn fans who said, "Here comes that man again," and that's where Stan the Man came from. He used to wear out that right field fence in Brooklyn, just above the Abe Stark sign. You remember that place with the Symphony and Hilda Chester.
Well, Butch Husky wore out opponents' pitching this spring for the Mets. Now the question is he for real? Look at these numbers. Check swing on the 1-0, but the slider for strike 1.
Now, he's got that widespread stance. He picked it up last year down in the minor leagues, and it really has to help him. Keeps him from striding. He picks that front foot up, puts it right down. This time he got the fastball by him, but he was still in good hitting position. By spreading out like that, you keep from lunging, and it makes that off-speed pitch easier to hit. He was behind that fastball, and then he takes that fastball.
So Husky struck out by Andy Bennis to open the Mets' second. 1 up, 1 down. Let's take a look at the defensive lineup for the Cardinals. Brought to you by the United States Postal Service. Mabry, Alicea, Clayton, and Gaetti around the infield. Gant, Langford, McGee left to right in the outfield. Andy Bennis and Pat Borders. The St. Louis Cardinal battery this afternoon. And for the first opening day since 1982, Ozzie Smith not the starting shortstop. Royce Clayton, acquired from the Giants, has that honor this afternoon.
You got it by default. They had Ozzie Smith in the starting lineup. On the original lineup, they had about 3 different lineups made up that they changed until they finally figured out. I guess they asked for volunteers. Who's going to play?
Well, Tony La Russa wasn't sure who was here and who wasn't, because Brian Jordan went back to St. Louis to be examined. Told you about Tom Pagnozzi and his wrist, and Ozzie Smith still has to be careful of that shoulder. Kent takes outside. 1-1 on Jeff Kent.
Back in 1993, Kent got the only hit, as you look at Ozzie Smith right there, against Andy Bennis when he pitched a 1-hitter and beat the Mets 2-0. He got an infield hit in the second inning. Bennis has never pitched a no-hitter. He's pitched 2 1-hitters and both against the Mets. Brogna broke up his other no-hitter with a home run in the 8th inning.
Are you surprised, Ralph, that he hasn't blossomed into a consistent winner?
Well, when he broke in with the San Diego Padres, he really had good stuff. A real good fastball and an outstanding slider. Now, he's thrown some awfully good sliders here in this ball game today. And his last couple years have been off years for him. I thought he was going to be an outstanding pitcher. They say his brother, who's pitching the 3rd game of this series, is an outstanding pitcher, too. That was the slider right there.
So it's 2-2. Jeff Kent. And here's Dave Duncan, who will be the pitching coach for Tony La Russa's St. Louis Cardinals.
There's that slider dropping out of the strike zone. Now the fastball.
And Kent gets it through the hole into left field, and the Mets have their first base hit of 1996. Jeff Kent with a 1-out single in the second inning, just getting it past Royce Clayton.
So like he did back in 1993, he breaks up Bennis's no-hitter.
Figured why wait till the last minute this time.
What's that old trivia question? Who broke up the most no-hitters in the history of baseball? And the answer, of course, is Pete Rose, who got more singles as a leadoff batter than anybody. That ball might have been fielded by the Ozzie Smith of, say, 10 years ago. I don't think Ozzie could have made the play on that one at his age of 41.
So Todd Hundley will be the hitter for the Mets as you look at Royce Clayton, now the shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals. Hundley had the wrist injury last year, which cost him a good chunk of the second half of the season. He did hit .280 with 15 homers and 51 RBIs. And a slider misses inside 1-0. And Ralph was troubled this spring, too, by a hamstring.
Yeah, he's had a few difficulties, but he did get enough at-bats to have 11 hits this spring, one of them a home run. The thing that impresses me about Hundley right now is his aggressiveness at the plate. Every swing that he takes is a potential extra base hit swing. He's strong up there now.
Takes a breaking ball and fouls it off to the third base side, and the count even on Hundley at 1-1.
When he first came to the Mets, he was just feeling for the ball. Now you see the aggressive move right here. Man, that's a move. That's a move for extra bases. He was behind that fastball. But that's what pitching is all about, breaking up your timing. But everything was in good position to hit it hard.
Kent the runner at first with 1 out, being held on by Mabry. Hundley hits that in the air deep to left center, but it's playable. Ron Kent, the left fielder, puts it away, and there are 2 out. Kent scrambles back to first, and it'll be Jose Vizcaino's turn. It's not going to be an easy day for the outfielders, Ralph.
And it'll get progressively worse as this rain and drizzle continues to fall, but you get to the point now where you do play a lot of ball games under very adverse weather conditions.
Saw Lance Johnson lose his footing after making a catch in the Cardinal half of the second inning on what became a sacrifice fly. And now Jose Vizcaino had a good spring at the plate. You see the numbers there, and a good year last year as well, batting .287 with 56 RBIs. Cardinals leading 1-0 with 2 out, and Jeff Kent, the runner on first for New York, here in the bottom of the second. Howie Rose, Ralph Kiner, and Fran Healy will join us shortly on opening day at Shea. Bounce to first, easy play for Mabry, and the Mets are retired in the second. No runs, a base hit, no errors, and 1 left. 2 innings in the books here at Shea on opening day. It's the Cardinals 1, the Mets nothing. It always struck me, Ralph, with guys like John McSherry in the National League, Ken Kaiser in the American League. How can those guys get down the line? If they're umpiring at first or third, and they've got to get down the line to make a key call at that weight, how do you do it?
Not very easy. I would think that'd be a real strain. Of course, Harry Gregg, another.
The Cardinals, I think it was when the Mets were in St. Louis some years ago, when one of the Cardinal players left a cheeseburger on third base for Eric
Gregg. Yeah. The best part was he went over and ate it.
That was not an upset. 1-2 pitch to Willie McGee. And the fastball misses up high, 2-2.
He's one of the best raconteurs, I think, in the business, Harry Gregg. Wrote a book, affable guy. He's just a terrific guy. John McSherry is wonderful. And Harry Windleston, as you mentioned, the senior umpire, has his own umpire school.
McGee hits that one into right center for a base hit. Second hit for the Cardinals. Willie McGee, back in the National League with the Redbirds this year, has a 1-out single in the third inning. That'll bring up the shortstop, Royce Clayton. That's Dave McKay. He's the first base coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. Tommy Reynolds on the coaching line at third. Reynolds, a former New York Met. That's McKay. Remember the game, Ralph? I think it was in the Astrodome. Mets had 2 catchers thrown out. Tommy Reynolds had to go in as the emergency catcher.
I think it was in Brooklyn. I said Brooklyn. In L.A. it was, against the Dodgers. But, yeah, he did, and the Mets lost the game on a pass ball.
Yep. So with 1 out here in the St. Louis third, Royce Clayton, who bounced back to the mound his first time up.
Best story about Tommy Reynolds I can think of is the one that happened in spring training, one of those early spring training games where they changed players all over. And Jack Buck, the announcer for the Cardinals, came in our broadcast booth and says, "Who's that playing left field?" And I said to him, "Well, that's Tommy Reynolds." He says, "No, not on your team, on ours."
That's spring training's ridiculous.
When they start running those players out with numbers 154 and 122,
just give up. That's hit down the right field line by Royce Clayton. Out of play, 0-1. This telecast is brought to you in part by Bud Light, the official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. Make it a Bud Light. Well, for the time being, anyway, it looks like the rain is pretty well stopped. But the weather playing havoc on opening day around the country, at least in the East. Yankees in Cleveland snowed out. Kansas City and Baltimore also postponed because of rain, and Phillies called their game off yesterday.
Yeah, there must be something that's between the lines there, because they never call ball games off in Philadelphia. They must have a couple of players that couldn't play or something. There had to be some kind of a underscoring in that decision. Bill Giles, the head man there in Philadelphia, very cagey.
And that's fouled back, 0-2 on Clayton. Tell you what, it better rain in Philadelphia today.
We had a game in the Polo Grounds when I was playing ball back in the 40s, where they called the game in the Polo Grounds, and it was a sunny day, and they played in Ebbets Field. Horace Stoneham, who was the owner of the ball club, used to sleep at the ballpark. He woke up in the morning, and there was water running down the windows of his bedroom in the Polo Grounds, and he thought it was raining, and they were washing the windows, and he called the game.
I thought the Harlem River was the dividing line with the weather pattern. 0-2 on Clayton, 1 out, Cardinal third. And that just misses 1-2. Cardinals leading 1-0, and Bobby Jones might feel as though he's been squeezed a couple of times already by Wendelstedt.
Well, that could have been low, but it might have coincided with the so-called new strike zone. So-called.
Yeah, what is that all about now? They go about 2 inches now below the knees, and that's supposed to change everything. Pitch out, nothing going. It's 2-2.
Dallas Green figuring that the new manager, Tony La Russa, is going to run a lot with this ball club. They had 31 stolen bases in spring training, and McGee was not running on that pitch out.
Once upon a time, Ralph, wasn't the strike zone from about the shoulder blades to the knees?
That's right, below the knees, actually, about where you used to roll your stockings and wear your pants.
Runner goes, and that one is hit into left center field for a base hit. Gilkey can't cut it off. It's going to roll to the track. Around third and coming home is McGee. Clayton makes the turn. He's going to try for third, and he's going to be dead by 15 feet. If Ken is able to hold on to the ball, and he did long enough to get the putout. So Royce Clayton will get credit for a double and an RBI, and then he's thrown out on the cutoff play from Ordonez to Kent.
Center fielder Ray Langford.
Well, he had no chance at all, and he had to be going on his own. It's a fastball. He hits it hard in the left center. Bernard Gilkey tried to catch up to it to cut it off. It bounced by him, and you see the runner going with a pitch, and that allows him to score. Ball picked up by Johnson out there, and he gets it back into the cutoff man. And Ordonez with a throw, and they just have to wait.
So the putout goes 8-6-5. If you're scoring on Clayton, McGee makes it 2-0 for the Cardinals coming around from first, and Ray Langford fouls it back 1-1. Show you the throw again from Ordonez.
Perfect throw, and it's just a matter of time, a long time.
Jeff Kent lost the ball on the transfer after slapping the tag on Clayton. And a slider inside, 2-1 to Langford.
Got to get penalized for delaying the game right there.
Cardinals have put up single runs in the second and now the third. 2 out, nobody on. Langford grounded to second, his first time up. 2-1 on Ray Langford. And a fastball outside. Now it's 3-1. And that's fouled back to count full. Jones has run a lot of deep counts already. Remember, the pitchers, Ralph, aren't totally stretched out yet, so it's unlikely that if a pitcher is to labor at all for anybody on opening day today that he'd get much further than the 6th or 7th inning. And again, not many pitchers go past that anymore these days anyway.
Well, that's about it. That's complete game's a thing of the past, almost a thing of the past. Jones actually pitched through 10 innings for the Mets, which is really unusual.
Everybody thought LaRussa's the guy who started that. Base hit by Langford. That's the 4th hit for St. Louis, and 3 singles, or at least 2 singles and a double now, consecutively off of Bobby Jones here in the 3rd inning. But the point about LaRussa, and he sort of takes exception to it as you look at his Mets counterpart, Dallas Green, that people have said since, especially Dennis Eckersley established himself as a premier closer in Oakland, that it's LaRussa who basically forced the complete game to be a thing of the past. He said, no, I remember watching Whitey Herzog when he managed the Kansas City Royals, and they had their bullpen by committee in the mid-1970s, and that was sort of the man who influenced Tony LaRussa in that department. So here's Gant, who walked and scored in the 2nd inning. Cardinals leading 2-0. Gant got under that one. Bernard Gilkey in left field for the Mets makes the catch. And the Cardinals retire in the 3rd inning. 1 run on 3 hits. No errors, 1 man left. And in the middle of the 3rd on opening day at Shea, it's 2-0 Redbirds.
Joe Amato with an update from Game Time, and now the pictures from Cincinnati, where umpire John McSherry, the home plate umpire today, age 51, from Dobbs Ferry, collapsed in the very 1st inning today, a National League umpire since 1971. Doctors were seen administering CPR to McSherry. Something seriously wrong. He's now been taken from the field. Back to Shea Stadium now, and Howie Rose. Howie?
Joe, that's awful news. John McSherry collapsing, and as soon as we get any further information, we'll let you know about that, as the game has been delayed in Cincinnati. And here we go to the bottom of the 3rd. The Mets are trailing 2-0, and here's Rey Ordonez's first Major League plate appearance. He takes ball 1. Ralph, the thing they liked about Ordonez last year, despite the .214 batting average, is that in pressure situations, he'll put the bat on the ball.
Well, he fights you at the plate. He'll try and put the bat on the ball. He hit .254 this spring with 18 base hits. And you got to remember, he's only had a couple of years of minor league baseball, although the baseball they play in Cuba is close to major league level, not, I'd say maybe AAA. He's had that experience. He really knows how to play the game.
And 3-0 now on Rey Ordonez. Ordonez, Bobby Jones, and Lance Johnson, the batters for the Mets in the last of the 3rd. They trail the Cardinals 2-0. Bennett misses, ball 4.
Well, it was a walk that got the Cardinals on the scoreboard back in the 2nd inning. And now Ordonez leads off with a walk in his first Major League at-bat.
Well, Hoop fans can visit SportsChannel's brand new website, chat with college coaching legend Al McGuire during tonight's NCAA championship game. In fact, all day today, you can submit your college basketball questions by reaching SportsChannel's homepage at www.sportschannel.com. During halftime of the title game, Coach McGuire will be on the net, live from the Meadowlands to response. Join SportsChannel on the internet with Al McGuire tonight. You'll find us at www.sportschannel.com. So a sacrifice situation for Bobby Jones. Gaetti charging from 3rd, Mabry from 1st, and Jones takes ball 1.
Jones led the National League in sacrifice bunts last year. His lifetime average 123. He's had 15 hits in his Major League career.
Bobby from Fresno, California, which is Tom Seaver country. Went to the same high school, Fresno High, but are differently styled pitchers.
I don't know what that move is for. You know he's sacrificing. Why fake a throw to first base?
Especially when it's 47 degrees.
There's the league leader right there, Bobby Jones, in sacrifice bunts, 18. That's where Jose was, and he's a regular player.
It's Chris Ballard. You know, Vizcaíno ought to get a lot of opportunities to do that from the number 2 spot. Last year he hit number 2 quite a bit with Brett Butler leading off when he was here. Vizcaíno would be forced into the leadoff spot from time to time a year ago. Mike Cubbage flashes the sign at third base. Cubby at third once again this year. Frank Hondo Howard back on the lines at first for the New York Mets. Ball and a strike on Jones. Nobody out here in the third. Again, they charge from the corners. Jones bunts foul. 1-2. Guess you got to keep it on here, huh, Ralph?
I would think they'll keep it on, yes. One of the things that Dallas will not tolerate is the lack of pitchers being able to sacrifice in situations. Just got to help your own cause. Even though the Mets are down 2-0, this is the ideal spot to sacrifice. Early in the ballgame, you need to get runs.
Jones calls time. And the rain is just about stopped. And only a slight breeze now, and it shifted in the other direction, moving from left to right.
Healy has moved back at third. You're not looking for him to bunt here. Now he moves in a bit.
And Jones cannot get it down. So Bobby Jones, a strikeout victim. Second strikeout for Andy Bennis, 1 man away. Dallas can't be happy about the fact that a fundamental play, such as pitchers will practice often, spring training right through the entire season, is not executed by his starting pitcher, Bobby Jones.
Well, Bobby not happy with the fact that he didn't execute there. And it's not a game where you can do everything you want to do. It's a very difficult game. The pitcher's trying to keep you from sacrificing in that spot. He got a good hard slider.
So here's a pretty good contact hitter, Lance Johnson. Decent speed at first at Ordonez. Maybe a hit-and-run possibility if Dallas Green so chooses. Andy Bennis working on the spikes.
And Dallas, with a different ball club, he can use the steal. With this ball club, he can also use the hit-and-run play. Johnson ideal on the hit-and-run play. He is a contact hitter.
Cardinals look for 2 on the infield. And that's hit to second. They might get it. There's 1. Not in time. Johnson beats the play down at first. Fielder's choice 4-6, and there are 2 men away. So with 2 out, Johnson becomes the base runner at first, as his speed kept the Mets out of a double play.
Well, the execution on the double play was about as good as you can expect. Ordonez easily out at second, but Johnson with his speed beats the throw to first base by a good step.
So Bernard Gilkey, the former Cardinal who flied to right, his first time up. 2-0 Cardinals with 2 out here in the bottom of the third inning. Bernard Gilkey picked up from the Cardinals for a couple of minor league pitchers, Eric Ludwig and Eric Hilgis, along with outfielder Judith Osorio. And he became expendable because the Cardinals signed Ron Gant, but very, very useful player offensively. Came up, Ralph, about the same time as Ray Langford. Arguably has turned into about as good a player as Langford. I think bigger and better things were expected for Langford than they were for Gilkey, weren't they?
Well, Langford with more power, there's no doubt about that.
Slider away, 1-0. Bernard switched his uniform number. You may see the number 23 on him and think, well, what about Tim Bogart? Well, he's wearing number 11 now. It's made a couple of uniform number changes if you track those things. Mark Clark ever gets out of the snow, he'll wear number 47. Runner goes, and Gilkey hits it deep to left field. Gant has a beat on it, and he makes the catch. So Gilkey hit it well, but Gant tracked it down, and the Mets are out of the third inning. No runs, no hits, a walk and 1 left. Fran Healy joins you next. 2-0 Cardinals.
The fourth, the Cardinals on top, 2-0, and coming in for the play-by-play, Fran Healy.
Okay, Ralph. Gary Gaetti with 35 home runs last year leads it off for the Cardinals. He hit those 35 home runs as a member of the Kansas City Royals. Not a home run hitter's ballpark. Tony La Russa hoping to get the same production from Gaetti this year as he takes a strike. 1-1 on the Cardinal third baseman. Breaking ball misses outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
One thing, Fran, every ballpark is a home run hitter's ballpark in the major leagues today with that ball.
One pitch is fouled off. Well, I remember 2 home run hitters, Ralph, that I can recall playing for the Cardinals. Richie Allen and Jack Clark.
Both of them pretty strong.
Yeah. He was mentioned on the right field line here at Shea Stadium. Gaetti takes strike 3, so Jones gets Gaetti looking, 1 down.
Jones with that breaking ball picking up his 3rd strikeout. That's a good slider right here. He's been hurt on the fastball.
See those hands. Get the hitter to get those hands to collapse. You can't do anything. Rarely do you see the hands collapse on a fastball as the pitch is down and in to John Mabry.
Don't have time.
You never see the hands collapse on a fastball.
That
you
ball
swing and
gets
miss.
there too soon.
But the breaking ball, the hands collapse and you are in trouble. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and Mabry fouls it back. 1-1.
That's why it's so important, Fran, to keep those hands back where they don't collapse. The body can move, but the hands, if they stay back, and Roberto Clemente was a perfect example of that, and Willie Mays another, then you have power to hit it.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball misses down and in. 2-1. Ralph, years ago, the footage I saw, and I heard about those hitters years ago, and I don't think you did it, but a lot of the hitters, when they prepare, they had the preparatory hitch. The hands went down and then up as Mabry takes ball 3-3-1. Where today the hands go back.
Well, down and up is fine. Down and not up is very bad. Jimmy Fox, one of the greatest hitters that ever lived, was down and up. And a guy for the Cardinals that did that, pronounced it down and up, was a guy named Walker Cooper.
How about your buddy Hank Greenberg?
Hank Greenberg was down and up.
I saw footage of Lou Gehrig, and he went from his waist to his knees with the bat, and still got it up to hit. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Mabry. There's a line drive, right center field, way back. Husky looks up, it's gone. Home run, John Mabry. Now 3-0 St. Louis.
Mabry is going to be for real. He hit .307 last year with only 5 home runs, but that was his rookie year. And right here he takes his fastball and it's gone, long gone. Drove in the first run of the game with a sacrifice fly, and that fastball taken out. Hands go back there very nicely. One of the things about a guy here in this ballpark who never took his hands down was Stan Musial. There you see the hand staying back nicely.
Pat Porter's lines a bullet in the right field, picking up his first hit of the game.
And Stan Musial right there. You know, he had the same amount of hits at home in his major league career as he had in the road. I don't know of any player that ever did that.
That's amazing. First class individual. Hall of Famer Stan Musial. He's an oddity in baseball. He started off as a pitcher. Hurt his arm.
Yeah.
They let him try it as a hitter. Today, they wouldn't be as easy to deal with. You can go from hitting to pitching, but it's not as easy to go from...
In the minor leagues, though, he did play the outfield when he pitched. His manager was Dickie Kerr.
There's a base hit off the bat of Luis Alcea, who struck out his first time up. So the Cardinals have runners on first and second with 1 man gone, and there's some action in the Mets bullpen. Blas Minor starts to throw. So Minor loosens up. Cardinals have runners on first and second with 1 man gone. Here in the top of the 4th inning, it's 3-0 St. Louis.
And Andy Bennis will be the batter. Bennis in a bunting situation here.
It has to kill you when you're a manager and you see a guy at the plate 6'6", 245 pounds, and you're going to make him bunt.
Yeah, he once went 0 for 54 without a base hit. 54 times at the plate he did not have a base hit.
So being big has nothing to do with hitting.
You got to be able to hit the curveball.
Well, it's 0-1 on Dennis. Cardinals trying to break this ball game open. That's have to stay close. Nice crowd on hand considering the weather. See Jeff Kent moving on in anticipation of the bunt. Porter's leading off second. Alsea off first, and Dennis bunts the ball to third. One play, that's the first. Kent gets Dennis, 2 down.
And a good job of bunting by Bennis as he makes the third baseman field the ball. That's your main objective with runners at first and second. If the third baseman fields the ball, unless they got the rotation play on, you're going to advance your 2 runners. Kent waited, started to go back to third. When he saw the pitcher couldn't field the ball, he made the good move in, made good judgment there, and picked up the out at first base, and that's a sacrifice.
And a man who has led the National League twice in batting average, Willie McGee steps in with Borders on third, Alsea on second. McGee in this ball game is 1 for 2. He's also scored a run. And the breaking ball misses up high, 1-0. Willie McGee has an approach to hitting that you just don't want to copy if you're a youngster.
We said that earlier.
He's one of the few guys that you see on his heels and has been very productive as a hitter.
Well, what's that saying, Fran, as you see the foul ball? Don't lose those wheels, ball players say, the guys that can run real well, and he could run real well in his prime. His father is a ordained minister, and he used to anoint his feet with oil before the start of the season.
Oh, he's had a long career.
Yeah, he has.
So that has helped. Well, fans, while we have a moment, we'd like to invite you to enter the US Air Sports Channel 5th Inning Contest. You can win round-trip tickets for 2 anywhere US Air flies in the continental United States, Canada, or the Caribbean, or you may win a vacation package for 4 to Orlando, Florida. All you need to do is send us a card with your name, address, and phone number to. You see the address right there. We will randomly select a card each game, and if ball pulled foul, and if a Met hits a home run or a grand slam, you win one of the prize packages. For the US Air plane flies above us as we speak. 1-2 on Willie McGee. He has to be a favorite of Tony La Russa's. He played for Tony out in Oakland, California. And the 1-2 pitch. Up high, 2-2. When you're catching against a guy like Willie McGee, it's really tough to set him up. He might look down on one pitch and then hit a rope on the same pitch next time up. So Todd Hundley working Bobby Jones, trying to get him out of this hole. Borders leading off third. They fake to second base. Alsea back. They had that close-up of Todd Hundley behind the plate. One of the nice things about being a catcher is you are in every pitch of the game, especially defensively, but even in the dugout. You know, you're talking to the pitcher, you're talking to the pitching coach, studying the pitcher on the mound. There's a high fly ball, deep right field. Husky going back, going back, going back. Home run, Willie McGee. A 3-run home run, and the Cards have a 6-0 lead. That'll bring Dallas Green out of the dugout. Blas Minor throwing in the Met bullpen. And this call to the bullpen is sponsored by Nynex. Well, big crowd on hand here at Shea Stadium, but if you're a Met fan, doesn't look good. They trail 6-0 here in the fourth. Now let's get on to Mike Harris with his special guest. Mike?
All right, thanks very much, Fran. Itzhak Perlman is a big baseball fan, and he has seen some very dissonant pitching chords being struck by Bobby Jones today. That aside, what do you think of the Mets this season?
Well, I'm very, very optimistic. I think that there are quite a few new faces and young people and some of the good old ones from last year, and I'm just acclimating myself right now. First game after all, so I'm going to start getting more interested in the season and so on, and I'm going to start watching, because my summer I have not followed you know, all the various trades and stuff like that. So I'm very, very hopeful that we're going to do well. I hope not like today. You know, I'm a little bit better.
For sure. Thank you very much. Fran, back to you.
Okay, Mike, you're looking at Ozzie Smith sitting next to Willie McGee. McGee with a 3-run home run here in the 4th inning. And Royce Clayton is the batter. Big down low, ball 1.
Well, McGee basically not a home run hitter. And right here, he gets a high breaking ball. And there was no doubt about it.
Clayton just took a strike. It's 1-1.
Husky goes back to the outfield fence, but he can't even get close to this one.
You're going to get hurt doing that.
That fence might get hurt.
So Willie McGee with a 3-run home run, and Royce Clayton takes the breaking ball outside, 2-1. Now Royce Clayton was not penciled in to start today. Ozzie Smith was the scheduled starter at shortstop. He was told before the game if there was any inclement weather, he would not play because of a slight hamstring pull. Fouled back, 2-2. So once the rain started falling, they scratched Ozzie Smith, who's involved in a very sensitive situation in St. Louis, along with Royce Clayton. Very popular Ozzie Smith. It's funny when you look at Ozzie Smith, Ralph, and you remember that trade that brought Gary Templeton, or sent Gary Templeton to the Padres. Everybody felt the Padres get the best of that deal back then.
Yeah, even up trade.
With the ground ball, third base, Jeff Kent gloves it on first. In time, and that'll do it for the Cardinals, but they pick up 4 here in the 4th. We played 3.5. It's all St. Louis. 6-zip Cards. Well, fans, this Saturday is Conn's Magnetic Schedule Day. All fans attending the 140 game against the Pirates will receive a handy magnetic schedule courtesy of Conn's Hot Dogs. For tickets, call the Mets at 718-507-TIXX during business hours. Or per ticket surcharge applies. And some Met fans on hand here on a rainy opening day, the 35th in the history of the New York Mets. A nice crowd on hand for this inclement weather. And Rico Brogna will lead it off for the Mets. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Mets trailing 6-zip. 1 hit in this ball game for the Mets. That hit off the bat of Jeff Kent. Brogna popped out his first time up. Popped out to the third baseman Gary Gaetti, and he swings through a heater. 0-1.
Brogna's hit the pitching of the St. Louis Cardinals very well in his major league career. .434 batting average coming in here with 4 home runs.
And he picks up a base hit into left field. So the first hit of 1996 for Rico Brogna.
Well, one thing they like about Brogna is when he goes to the other field, the opposite field, right here, a fastball, and he goes right with it, drills it in the left field. We mentioned earlier that Brogna broke up a no-hitter by Andy Bennis with a home run in the 8th inning, the only hit of the ball game. That was back in 1994, Brogna's first year in the majors.
Well, Butch Husky's the batter. He struck out his first time up. The stats from Norfolk last year. He gets jammed and pops the ball out of play. Andy Bennis is a big guy, as we mentioned, 6'6", 245 pounds, throws an overpowering fastball and a breaking ball. He's working on a changeup now.
He has a very good slider and broke in with great expectations.
And the 0-1 pitch. There's a strike. 0-2. Of course, he has a brother, Alan Bennis, who we'll also see in this series.
They say he's got better stuff than Andy. That's pretty high praise.
Most famous brother team, I guess, to pitch for the Cardinals, Dizzy and Daffy.
Dizzy and Daffy Dean. Dizzy, the 31-game winner for the Cardinals in 1934.
Husky fouls the slider off, 0-2.
That's one of those indecisive swings that you saw from Husky when he came up in his other previous appearances in the Major League.
Well, the other night against the Yankees in Tampa, Florida, he took a tremendous swing, hit a ball 9 miles. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Outside, 1-2. You see the hands collapse.
That was a good slider right there in a good spot just off the plate. He's going to see a lot of these pitches. Right there.
They want him to chase that ball. That's his reputation.
And the 1-2 pitch. Husky goes the other way. McGee is there. 1 down.
Did a good job right there. That was that same slider, only this one was in the strike zone. And the way you hit that ball, to hit it with any authority at all is go with it. And he did that. So that's a plus sign right there. Look at this pitch right out there, out over the plate, the slider. Tough pitch to hit, and he went with it, and that's a plus.
And a reminder, this telecast is brought to you in part by True Value, proud sponsor of opening day and yards everywhere. So 1 man gone. The batter now will be Jeff Kent. He singled his first time up. Singled to left field. He takes a strike. Checked at a ball. 1-0 on the Met third baseman. Well, a lot of people didn't think this guy would be in the opening day lineup for the New York Mets. During the offseason, his name was bandied about as far as trades were concerned. There's a strike. 1-1. More so today than ever before, names are thrown around, Ralph. You wonder how it affects the player. Or does it affect the player?
Well, I don't think you can do much about it. There's Mark Clark, and he was a last-minute trade. They're awfully hard to make at the last minute in the at the start of the season and the end of the spring training session because everybody's trying to move players.
Ken pops the ball up. Should be an easy play to Eddie. Calling for it and makes the grab. 2 down.
The big problem with trading players or making moves at the end of spring training is the fact you got to cut down from a 40-man roster to a 25.
By the way, Mark Clark warming up in the bullpen. Joe McIlvaine thought he would only have 24 players today because Clark was having trouble getting out of Cleveland because of the snow. Ryan Thompson struggling to get into Cleveland because of the snow. So Joe felt, in fact, I heard him tell the Cardinals, I'll only have 24 players today because Clark won't be here. That U.S. Air boy, that gets you in town, huh? Inside, 1-0 on Todd Hundley.
They get here when you go to the major leagues. They can't find a way to get on an airplane when you go to the minors.
It takes you 5-6 days.
That's right.
Here's one of the keys if the Mets have any success at all this year. A lot of responsibility on this guy's shoulders, as it should be. Ronya was just checked. Hundley, when he was injured last year, was on fire. Broke his wrist. He ended up having an operation. He said he feels much, much better now. Fouls it off. 1-1. Worked hard with Tom McCraw. If you watch him swing the bat, he's really cognizant of keeping his head down for a prolonged period when he swings that bat. Gives a lot of credit to Tom. Also gives a lot of credit to a weight program he's been on, lifting weights. Inside. Now called strikes, so it's 1-2. Harry Wendelstedt calling the balls and strikes.
Well, this one kind of a backup slider right there and caught the corner according to Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire.
1-2 pitch. That's a staying alive swing right there.
Yeah, that's good. Foul off those pitches that have you fooled. That was a fastball. He had it by him, and he got a piece of it to foul it off and keep at that plate, stay at the plate.
Tom McCraw looking on. He stays on these players before and after every at bat. 1-2 pitch. Fouled off again.
Well, that one ate him up.
So he's hit 2 tough pitches and fouled him off.
That's right, and that's when you're a good hitter. For some reason, the bad hitters pop those balls up where they're playable and you're out. But look at that swing. He's really fooled on that pitch.
Did you see his head right down there? Andy Bennis. 1-2 count on Todd Hundley. Hundley pulls the ball foul. So we'll do it again at 1-2. You know, when you're talking about lifting those weights, Ralph, Todd Hundley said it helped him out tremendously when he first came up. As you mentioned earlier, he was overmatched. He wasn't strong enough. He was a kid.
Well, maturity certainly has helped him. Of course, his dad,
Randy Hundley, one of the strongest guys you ever want to see.
He's got good genes.
Standing catcher, yeah.
And the 1-2 pitch at the drive to right field. Way back. Home run, Todd Hundley.
Good things certainly can happen when you can foul off the tough pitches. The pitch before the home run pitch was a slider that was inside, tried to get him to go after it, and then he came back with a slider. This went out just on the inside part of the plate, and he just took it downtown. He can stay healthy. He's going to hit a lot of those. He has become a very strong offensive hitter.
Very important part of the Met ball club, Todd Hundley, as Jose Vizcaino takes down low. Ball one. Just a few years ago, he was in the doghouse with the Mets. I'm sure that if other teams wanted him right then and there, they had a chance of trading for him. 2-0 on Vizcaino.
Well, the Mets get on the scoreboard for the first time in this season. And the dugout with the high five. Well, this is about the time to bring up the trivia question. What pitcher, and the only pitcher in the history of baseball, pitched a ball game where the batting average of the opposition team did not change at all?
Bob Feller?
That's it. But how did that happen? How could no average change in a ball game? Pitched a no-hitter. And he's the only man to ever pitch an opening day no-hitter. Every hitter on the opposition started with an average of 0-0-0, and everyone ended that day with an average of 0-0-0.
There's a strike, 2-2. How about who the center fielder was? Was that the game?
Bob Lemon.
Bob Lemon.
Opening day, I think it was 1941 against Detroit. Feller pitched the only opening day no-hitter.
There's a line drive, and Clayton makes the grab. That'll do it for the Mets, but they pick up 2 runs. We played 4. Watching all the action on SportsChannel opening day, and it's 6-2 Cardinals. Line scoring, Ralph. What about that young man right there with his swing?
Well, this is a slider, and watch him stay right on this ball. Head right down on it, and it was on the inside part of the plate. It's gone goodbye. First time for the Mets this year.
And Ray Langford takes a strike. He's 1 for 2 in his ball game. He's leading off here at the top of the 5th inning.
Incidentally, that no-hitter pitched by Feller on opening day, the only one ever pitched on opening day, was against the White Sox.
And the 0-1 pitch is outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 pitch once again outside. 2-1. Blas Minor on a relief of Bobby Jones. Bobby leaving after giving up 6 runs on 8 hits to the Cards. There's a looper in left field. Wilkie coming in. It falls in front of him. So Langford on first base with his 2nd hit of the game.
Left fielder Ron Gant.
And the reason Gilkey is now a Met is because of that guy. No, not Langford, the guy at the plate, Ron Gant. Gant signed a 5-year contract a couple years ago. He missed the whole season due to an injury. And just signed a 5-year deal with the Cardinals. Don't throw him a fastball. It's a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1.
This is the last time up. He got a high fastball from Bobby Jones, and Jones got lucky. He didn't hit it out of the ballpark. He walked in the 3-2 breaking ball his first time up.
So Todd Hundley calling the pitcher today. Looking into the dugout. There's more involvement in calling pitches for a catcher than at any time in the history of baseball. And it's a tailor-made double play. 6, 4, 3.
Third baseman Gary Gaetti.
6-4-3 double play. 2 minutes gone here in the 5th.
Watch Ordonez take his time to make an accurate throw. It's perfect for Vizcaino, and they know the runner. Although Gant does run well, in spite of that broken leg that sidelined him for a whole year. Ordonez now has handled 2 chances, make that 3 chances perfectly.
And Gary Gaetti fouls off the first pitch from Minor. 0-1. Gaetti, 36 years old, signed a 1-year contract with the Cards. And the 0-1 pitch, down low, 1-1. Last year, Gaetti hit 35 home runs, drove in 96 runs, and he's with a new team this year, Ralph. Sign at a time. You think 36 home runs or 35 home runs and 96 RBIs would keep you with the same team?
I'll tell you, Hank Greenberg in 1946 hit 44 home runs and got released by the Detroit Tigers because he was making too much money.
Somebody didn't like Hank in Detroit. How about the time he had the 100 runs batted in at the All-Star break as Gaetti strikes out? And Hundley unable to pick it up, and picks it up as Gaetti stops and makes the tag. That'll do it for the Cards here in the 5th inning. They fail to score. We played 4.5, and it's 6-2 Cards. Well, fans, it's the Mets half of the 5th inning, so it's time for the U.S. Air Sports Channel 5th inning contest. Today, the Mets are batting for Susan Contino of Syosset, New York, who could win a fabulous travel package courtesy of U.S. Air. All she needs to win is a Mets home run or a grand slam during the 5th inning. Good luck, Susan. Rey Ordonez, the batter. Puts the ball in play. Shea at second base makes the play. Over to Mabry. 1 down. How about that U.S. Air? Mark Clark joined the New York Mets today, flying in from Cleveland. As I mentioned earlier, Joe McElvain, the general manager of the Mets, very concerned that Clark would not be here today. Told the Cardinals we're going to play with 24 guys. And we got a pinch hitter for Blas Minor. It's Edgardo Alfonso. And Jerry DiPoto warming up in the Met bullpen, so we'll see him next inning. 1 man gone. Alfonso takes down low, 1-0. You think the favorite to play second base on an everyday basis, Ralph, is Alfonso?
He's going to be playing every day somewhere. Shortstop, third base, second base.
Jose Vizcaino starting today at second base for the Mets. There's a fastball for a strike. 2-1 on Alfonso. Jose Vizcaino did a fine job at shortstop last year for the Mets. Foul out of play. But the future, even though Vizcaino was having a good year at shortstop for the Mets, the future even last year, the near future was Rey Ordonez. He's impressed everybody with those soft hands at shortstop. Two-two pitch. Right back to Bennett. Goes to Mabry, and that'll do it for Alfonso. 2 down. Take a look at some of the teams throughout baseball, Ralph. Everybody talks about how important defense is. Then you look to Boston. They said, let's forget defense this year and put everybody in the lineup who can just hammer the baseball. Mitchell, Canseco, Cordero. Lance Johnson steps in. He pops the ball up to center field. Langford under it and makes the grab for round number 3. So the Mets go quietly here in the 5th inning. 3 up, 3 down. We played 5, and it's 6-2 Cards. Of the game so far brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep Eagle dealers.
Willie McGee with a 3-run home run. Mabry with a sac fly for an RBI and also a home run. And Hundley for the 2 runs for the Mets, a 2-run home run. Mid-camp recap by Jeep Eagle.
we go to the top of the 6th inning here at Shea. You're looking at one of the stars in today's game, Willie McGee, with a 3-run home run. And the Cardinals are trying to run away, but the Mets have picked up 2, so it's 6-2, and a new pitcher, Jerry DiPoto, Ralph.
DiPoto 4-6 in 58 games in relief for the New York Mets. He had 2 saves, an earned run average of 3.78. Third pitcher used by the Mets, Bobby Jones, started for the Mets, won 3 2/3, gave up 6 runs on 8 hits. And then Blas Minor working 1 1/3, giving up no runs on 1 hit.
Dallas Green looking on as Jerry DiPoto will pitch to John Mabry here in the 6th inning. Mabry with a sac fly and a home run. He had 5 home runs last year. If he had a shortcoming, the Cardinals said it was in the home run department. But Ralph, you're predicting this kid could someday be a decent home run hitter.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be a home run hitter, but he certainly will hit more than he hit last year if he plays a full season.
Fouls the ball back, 0-1, just for the record now. As a man who led the National League 7 straight years in home runs, what do you consider a home run hitter? 30 home runs?
Anybody that can hit consistently 30 home runs, yes.
Okay.
Not a 1-year 30 home run hitter that drops down to 15 and averages out around that amount.
So you're mellowing. It used to be 45 to 50.
That's a good home run hitter.
1-1 on Mabry.
Every time you add on, getting up into those 40s, and you add on another adjective.
And the 1-1 pitch down low, 2-1. As a home run hitter, is there anybody in particular, one guy in the major leagues that you're impressed with as a home run hitter? Nothing else.
Well, it's very obvious. You got to go Albert Bell.
Last year, 50 and 50, 50 home runs, 50 doubles. I think the guy that came closest to that, Ralph, and I could be wrong, but I read a great book by Ray Robinson a little while ago called The Iron Horse.
Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig. 2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, 2-2.
Well, Gehrig was overshadowed by Babe Ruth, but certainly one of the greatest hitters that ever played the game of baseball.
Well, we have one of the great hitters besides Mr. Kiner in the ballpark today as Mabry put the ball in play. Ordonez to Brogna. 1 down.
Fourth chance for Ordonez. This is the first difficult chance, and he makes it look very easy. Tremendous range. Look where he fields this ball. It's right through the box, almost directly in back of second base, and no contest.
And the batter now will be Pat Borders. This is Dan Musial, another great hitter here in the ballpark. Mr. Kiner and Mr. Musial.
Never led the league in home runs. Hit 39 one year.
Yeah, but didn't he tell me in the Halls of Fame show the reason he went in for to get $100 grand was because Ralph Kiner's there?
Yeah, I was the highest paid player in the National League, and I had signed for the season ahead of him. He was negotiating his salary, so he went into Gussie Busch, who owned the ball club at that time, and he says, I'm a better hitter than Kiner. He says, I want 91. And Busch says, now we're going to give you 100. So he was the first $100,000 ball player in the National League.
1-1 on Pat Borders. He takes down low.
I'm still looking for my cut.
So you could have been his agent.
I should have been I was his agent that year, and he didn't know it.
By the way, Borders catching today has a shot at catching every day for the Cardinals as he fouls it back. Tom Pagnazzi injured his wrist yesterday. The Cardinals sent him back to St. Petersburg to get some at-bats, get stronger with the wrist, but it was a battle for this catching job this spring between Borders and Pagnazzi. Pagnazzi considered the better defensive catcher. Down and in, 3-2. You saw that graphic, non-roster invitee to spring training. At one time, it was a surprise when a non-roster invitee got on the ball club, but not anymore. Whoa, that's a rope down the left field line. This could be a single for Borders. Gilkey getting the ball back in. And the ball gets past Vizcaíno, backed up by DiPoto. He hit the ball too hard, Ralph.
That's a penalty right there. He really did rip this thing down the line, and Gilkey plays a bounce off the fence down there perfectly, and he comes right to him. He played that carom as well as you can.
And Waters had no chance to make a two-base hit out of this. He stops. He doesn't know it's going to go through Vizcaíno. Backed up by DiPoto. So a hard single for Borders, his second hit of the game.
So Borders on first base, as Ralph mentioned, his second hit of the game, and the batter, Luis Alcea. Alcea, just recently released by the Red Sox, found a job with the Cardinals. Red Sox opting to go with an offensive second baseman in Will Cordero. So they were able to save some money. The Cardinals picked up Alcea as he takes down and away 1 ball and 1 strike.
One thing that's interesting about the Cardinals, for the first time in a long time, Jose Oquendo no longer with the Cardinals. In fact, he's out of baseball. He retired.
Phillies are taking a look at him, I heard.
Did he come back to them?
Well, you know, it's Phillies aren't taking a look at anybody right now. They're canceling games. There's a hard hit ball to second base. Vizcaíno to Ordonez to Fran. And that'll do it for the Cards here in the 6th. They fail to score. We played 5 1/2, and it's 6-2 St. Louis.
In 1983, Governor Mario Cuomo threw out the first ball as Tom Seaver returned to New York, hooking up with Steve Carlton. Seaver struck out Pete Rose to start the game as the Mets would finally get to Carlton as Mike Howard rounded a single into left field to break a scoreless tie. Dave Kingman put New York in front, and Doug Sisk struck out Tony Perez to end it. Strong relief work by Sisk earned him the win as the Mets beat the Phillies 2-0.
Rey Ordonez, new shortstop with the Mets. He looks very relaxed defensively, Ralph.
Now watch the feet of Ordonez on this play as he completes a double play. I was going to say nobody had faster feet except Fred Astaire, but I'll change that to Ginger Rogers. I think Ginger Rogers had faster feet than Fred, and she did everything that Fred did, but did it going backwards.
And fans, Sunday is calendar day. Come to the 140 Mets Pirates game and get a 1996 calendar full of color photos of your favorite Mets, courtesy of Carvel. Bernard Gilkey takes the strike, 0-1. Tickets for calendar day and all home games are now on sale. So come out and see the 1996 New York Mets. This is the start of something big as Gilkey drives the ball to left field. A long home run. That's something big. Favor of the Cards. Enrico Bronya steps in. He's 1 for 2. He takes a fastball for a strike.
Oh, Gilkey gets a fastball and takes it downtown. He had 17 home runs last year, career high. That's his first for the Mets. He didn't have one in spring training. So it goes into the mezzanine deck.
1-1 on Bronya. Hoops the ball in a foul territory, and it's out of play. So it's 1-2.
Gilkey right on that fastball. He knows it's gone. Venice giving up his second home run of the ball game. His first going to Todd Hundley.
You think Gilkey said, "You think you should have traded me"?
No, Gilkey coming to life against his former team. He led the Cardinals in hitting last year.
And the 1-2 pitch inside, 2-2.
Yeah, it's always a great pleasure when you do something well against a team that got rid of you.
And Gilkey hitting a home run in his ball game against his former mates. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Bronya goes down swinging. 1 out here in the 6th.
Well, it's a breaking ball right here.
Good hard slider. Good slider by Andy Bennis in today's ball game. And there's an old familiar face, or arm. Rick Honeycutt.
21 years old. How about Dennis Eckersley, 41 years old, coming out of the bullpen? As Butch Husky steps in, takes down low, 1-0.
They could play an old-timers game with this ball club right on their own. On their own team.
Well, LaRussa brought a lot of guys to St. Louis he's familiar with as Husky fouls off the fastball. 1-1. Talking about home run hitters, Ralph. As you look at Tony LaRussa, considered the best manager in baseball. How about this guy?
He's got that potential, boy. He is strong.
Looks uncomfortable today at the plate.
Well, that slider's at the hard pitch, and it's the bell has rung. He's not going to see many good pitches to hit until he proves he can lay off the bad ones.
Well, I know one thing. If I was catching and you find out a guy's hitting a bunch of home runs in spring training and he's just coming into the big leagues, you got to find out if he's going to play every day, if he can hit that breaking ball. Although Bennis throws the fastball by Husky, but that's what that slider will do also, make you wait a little bit longer, and that fastball will be thrown right by you.
Well, Bennis now has struck him out twice with fastballs, but that's not the pitch that set it up. It set him up with the curveball or slider, and he took the first one. There's a fastball right there, and it's a good one. Bennis has good stuff. He's up there in the 90s with that fastball.
It has surprised a lot of people why he doesn't win 20 games year after year. He throws a fastball for a strike, knee high to Jeff Kent. Kent 1 for 2 in his game. I really and truly believe, Ralph, when a young player comes to the big leagues, you know he's in the big leagues because he can hit the heater. He's hit the fastball in the minor leagues, and he's not getting into the big leagues.
He won't get here. That's right.
Oh, tapped down third base. Foul ball. Fans disagree.
Well, once you touch the ball in foul territory, it becomes a foul ball for good. One thing you can't do is throw your glove at the ball. If you throw your glove at the ball and hit it, it's a 3-base hit.
And if it's a thrown ball and you use equipment, it's 2 bases. Can't touch the ball with the equipment. Should say the glove. You got to keep, for example, a mask. If you're a catcher and the ball gets away from you and there's a runner on base and you go out and stop the ball from rolling with your mask, 2 bases. Orders flashing signs to Andy Bennis. Told him, shake me off. He wants Jeff Kent to think. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Down low, 1-2. It's funny, Ralph, when you're catching, you always want the pitcher to go along with you. Finally, you realize halfway through the game, he's not shaking me off. So what do?
I'm right back.
No, you tell him to shake you off. You can't make a catcher happy.
Well, he can shake you off. You come right back with the same pitch, he'll nod yes.
Absolutely. Orders looking.
Wants to try and confuse the hitter.
See him looking up at Jeff Kent. Wanted to see if he's peeking back. Breaking ball. Strike 3. So Kent goes down on a nasty pitch from Andy Bennis, and that'll do it for the Mets. We played 6 here at Shea, and it's 6-3 Cards. Some of the fans here at Shea Stadium, and you can see Andy Bennis talking to Borders, the catcher. Borders is doing something that's very important for a catcher to do. You got to massage your pitcher. You tell him, well, he hit a pitch that it wasn't that good a pitch. Yeah, there it is. I can throw that ball by him. Yes, you can. Tell the pitcher anything he wants to hear, Howie.
Well, Fran, it's football weather here at Shea Stadium, so it's only fitting that Terry Bradshaw is the pinch hitter for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's hitting for Andy Bennis, leading off the 7th. 6-3 St. Louis. Bradshaw hits it to Ordonez, who can't get control of it. Well, it was a slick track for Rey Ordonez, and I'm not sure whether or not that'll go as a base hit. Yeah, they have given him a base hit.
Got to give this guy a hit here. Nice play by Ordonez, just unable to get the ball across the infield. He had a tough throw right there because Bradshaw runs well.
So the Cardinals get a leadoff base runner here in the 7th inning. Yeah, that'll be top of the order for Willie McGee, who's had the big hit so far this afternoon. A 3-run homer off of and chasing Bobby Jones in the 4th inning. McGee squared the bunt with Kent charging from third, and it's ball 1. Tommy Reynolds flashing the signs.
McGee back in the National League, back with the Redbirds, and he's 2 for 3 today. The home run and also a single he scored in the 3rd inning. And DiPoto throws over. Bradshaw back in plenty of time. And that misses outside. 2-0 on McGee. DiPoto came over in another deal that Joe McIlvaine engineered with the Cleveland Indians. That was last year, or at least before last season.
Everybody questioned that deal early in the year last year and then applauded that deal late in the season.
3 pitchers to the Mets with that deal. 2-0 is on the way, and McGee fouls it back. So it's 2-1. There you look at Terry Bradshaw. No relation to the former outstanding quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one comes from Franklin, Virginia, and had a cup of coffee with the Cardinals late last year, batting .227 in 19 games.
He was sent down, but recalled because Brian Jordan was injured. Brian Jordan on the DL. Now he's down in Florida for rehabilitation.
2-1 to McGee is outside. Now DiPoto has fallen behind. McGee's 3-run home run, the big blow so far. It came in a 4-run Cardinal 4th. They did lead 6-0, but the Mets have started to come back. 2-run homer by Hundley, solo shot by Bernard Gilkey. And we're in the 7th on opening day here at Shea. Once again, Bradshaw has to scramble back.
Well, the middle relievers have to do the job. Keep this game close. Let the Mets catch up.
Runner goes. McGee hits it down the left field line, but it twists foul. Thank you, New York, for making Coors Light your #1 light beer. Grab a silver bullet. Let the mountains come to you. Coors Light. Tap the Rockies.
Still a tough job, the middle reliever. It's one of those jobs where it's like that Rodney Dangerfield. You get no respect. You have good stuff. You can't be the short man. You got a terrific short man in John Franco. You can't break the starting rotation, so your job is to hold them.
And DiPoto did that with occasional success last year. If you look at Dallas Green. Full count on McGee. Nobody out. See if he's running. He is. Strike 3. And a strike him out, thrown out, double play. Perfect throw by Hundley to Vizcaíno. So the first strikeout for Jerry DiPoto, and it becomes a double play.
Well, here's Hundley coming out of the chute. And a good, strong throw right on the money. Had to wait for Bradshaw to get there. Makes a catcher feel good if you can make if you have the infielder wait for the runner. Terrific throw by Todd Hundley. Quick feet, quick release, and a strong throw.
So here's Royce Clayton, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI, and he drops a dandy of a bunt. No prayer. That's a base hit for Clayton. Perfect placement on the slow infield, and Royce Clayton has himself a bunt single.
Clayton not even scheduled to start this game now with 2 hits in the game. Ozzie Smith was in the original lineup, but they told Smith if we have any inclement weather, you won't play because he has a slight sprain of the hamstring. There's Ozzie. Ozzie under a lot of heat. So is Royce Clayton. They tell me Royce Clayton is feeling some pressure because if he does replace that guy, there's going to be a lot of pressure. He's a fan favorite. Ozzie Smith, a fan favorite in St. Louis.
So Ray Lankford, who's 2 for 3, steps in. 6-3 St. Louis. And there's strike 1 to Lankford.
He's got a shot at Tony La Russa. That's a big decision for Tony La Russa. Not such a big decision, but it's going to be a big move to move Ozzie Smith out of there.
You can't blame Walt Jocketty, the Cardinals general manager. I mean, Smith's 41 years old. He had a shoulder problem last year. You got to think 5-6 years down the road, too.
But fans' favorites, they're tough. They don't want to see their favorite leaving. Ozzie has been a favorite for about 16 or 17 years in St. Louis. And a tough move for the Cardinals and Tony La Russa. Let's face it, he would be a fan favorite wherever he plays. He's an exciting shortstop, the greatest defensive shortstop ever to play the game.
As you look at his ultimate replacement, never mind just today, Royce Clayton, you see he could run with 24 stolen bases last year. That'll be a difficult day to run, though.
And Clayton acknowledges the fact that Ozzie was his idol growing up.
And again, Clayton back. Royce Clayton actually became a better hitter with the San Francisco Giants than I think most people felt he'd become.
I'll tell you, Howie, last year when we did the Mets-Giants games, people that travel with the Giants felt he was the best all-around shortstop except for Barry Larkin.
And Langford gets one down the left field line. Clayton rounds second, Langford going into second, and Clayton's going to try to score. Ordonez threw it from his knees, and they got him! There is your first look at what Rey Ordonez is capable of doing. He was on his knees, Fran. No runs, 2 hits. Make that no runs, 3 hits. Cardinals leave a runner, and here's why. He's on his knees. And the perfect peg from Ordonez nails Clayton.
From Game Time, umpire John McSherry is alive at the hospital at this hour. The 51-year-old umpire, the home plate umpire at Riverfront today in the game between the Reds and the Expos, suffered a heart attack. Doctors quickly administered CPR. He lay on the ground for at least 15 minutes, rushed to the hospital where right now they continue to work on him in the emergency room. The game was postponed until tomorrow. Back to Shea Stadium.
And again, our prayers are with John McSherry and his family as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Back to the baseball context, though, Fran. The first look at the almost unbelievable by Rey Ordonez.
Well, Joe McElvain said he's going to lead the league in standing ovations. Now look at the catch of this ball. It's a tough ball to handle. Ordonez goes down on his knees, handles the ball, then makes a perfect throw to Todd Hundley. But the throw from Gilkey to Ordonez was really tough to handle. Ordonez, as you see, goes down on his knees and gives with the ball. It kind of short hops. He threw a bullet one hop to Ordonez. Ordonez able to glove it, make the throw to play. What a play by Rey Ordonez.
Well, Clayton certainly didn't slow up at all going around second. He knew all the way what he was trying to do. And here's Todd Hundley to lead off for the Mets against Rick Honeycutt, the new pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. Andy Bennis out of the game, working 6 innings. He gave up 3 runs on 4 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. And Honeycutt also had a cup of coffee with the Yankees at the very end of last season.
Almost like he came into New York and didn't unpack.
Why should he? 1 week, I think, is about all that he was here, as Hundley takes 1 and 1.
You know, getting back to that play, I mean, Gilkey threw a bullet at Ordonez. Usually when you're that close, you hit him right in the chest with that ball. But he bounced that ball, and Ordonez had to go down on his knees and made the throw from his knees.
Ripped by Hundley, foul ball, and just foul down the third base line. Brian Gorman, the third base umpire, emphatic in his call, and Hundley has to come back.
We saw Todd Hundley before hit that home run from the left side of the plate. Now he switches to the right side and just misses an extra base hit. Well, that's the call of the third base umpire, Brian Gorman, and he's right on top of it. He has a better look at it than anybody.
You know, in fairness to Royce Clayton also, who was the runner on the play in which Ordonez made the great throw to the plate, you look at the infield now and you could see that's really starting to get sticky, which slows the runner up. And Hundley dribbles it back to the box. Easy play for Honeycutt. There's 1 away. So Rick Honeycutt, at the tender age of going on 42, which proves, Fran, if you're left-handed and you can breathe, you've got a place in Major League Baseball.
That's right. They used to say it about left-hand hitting catchers. They said all you have to do is stand on the left side of the plate, but more so for the left-handed throwing pitchers.
Jose Vizcaíno will be the hitter for the Mets. Grounded to first, lined to short, so he's 0 for 2. It's 6-3 Cardinals. 1 out, last of the 7th. And Honeycutt gets a breaking ball over for strike 1.
Vizcaino's going to get work all over the infield next year. Of course, he's at second today, but will probably spell Ordonez occasionally at short. 0-2 now on Jose. And Fran, I would think Dallas Green will be in situations where behind a run or two, 6th, 7th inning, he's going to want to hit for Ordonez, and you'll see Vizcaino play some shortstop under those conditions. 0-2 pitch on the way, and that slider misses inside, 1-2.
Boy, they're hoping Ordonez can keep his head above water offensively. If he can do that, you can ride with him a long period of time. Of course, the club has to win. If he can pick that ball at shortstop, we just saw a terrific play when he relayed that ball in for Bernard Gilkey. But I got to kick it up how hard Bernard Gilkey threw the ball and bounced it to Ordonez.
Rain picking up in intensity once again. And the 1-2 in the dirt. 2-2 on Vizcaino. The field must be in pretty good shape. Fran, you look around and that diamond dust hasn't really been sprinkled around the base paths at all. But I think you could see that it affected Clayton a little bit trying to go first to home.
But it also affects a guy like Gilkey picking up a wet ball down there in left field.
Vizcaino loops one into short center field. He's got a base hit. So the Mets with their 5th hit of the afternoon. Let's take a look at the league leaders, brought to you by your Tri-State Chrysler dealers. And we'll see about league leaders since the All-Star break of last year. And look where the Mets were.
44 and 31 after the break. The Braves 46-29. They're going to be tough this year. Real tough. You get the Dodgers, Marlins, and the Reds.
Some people feel the Dodgers are capable of making a runaway out of things in the Western Division.
They got that Greg Gagne at shortstop. Now, poor Jose Hoffman. I read where they said the defense has improved with the Dodgers because Jose Hoffman's gone.
In the bullpen for the St. Louis Cardinals, Corey Bailey, right-hander who pitched briefly with the Cardinals last year. As the southpaw Honeycutt works to Rey Ordonez. 0 for 1 and a walk. Base hit right field. First major league hit for Ordonez. Vizcaino tries for third. He'll make it easily as the ball was bobbled in right field by McGee. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 man out.
So Rey Ordonez, something the Mets were concerned about, putting the ball in play hard to right field. This is what he's got to do to be successful as a major league hitter, use the whole field. And that's his first major league hit for Rey Ordonez.
And the ovation for the Mets shortstop as the scoreboard relays the news. Frank Howard did what he did a whole lot of times last year, and that's retrieve a baseball for a player's first major league hit.
Well, we said, Howie, that Joe McElvain told everybody Rey Ordonez would lead the National League in standing ovations. He's gotten 2 today.
That's right, 2 inside of about 10 minutes. There's the ball played back in. Yep. Well, Tony La Russa out to the mound. Chris Jones has been announced as the pinch hitter for Jerry DiPoto. And so pitching change coming up for the Cardinals. Last of the 7th inning here at Shea. Cardinals leading the Mets 6-3. 6-3 St. Louis, but the Mets threatening here in the 7th. They've got runners at the corners with 1 man out. So Dallas Green goes to his bench and sends up right-hand hitting Chris Jones as the pinch hitter for Jerry DiPoto. The Cardinals had been going with left-hander Rick Honeycutt, so upon the announcement of Jones, Corey Bailey comes in to do the pitching for St. Louis. Mentioned that he pitched briefly for them last year, just 3 games for them. He also has seen some Major League time with the Boston Red Sox, originally drafted by the Sox, and then went to St. Louis in the trade that brought Scott Cooper, the highly touted third base prospect, to St. Louis. But Chris Jones, and boy, what a year he had as a pinch hitter last year for the New York Mets, will once again assume those responsibilities.
And here's Chris Jones from last year. One of the things that hurt Chris Jones is he did so well last year in that role. Chris Jones, a guy who Dallas Green wants to keep for late in the game, situations like this. Too bad it hurts a guy who was productive in this role. So you tend not to give him an opportunity to play every day.
And he also has retoned and tooled his body during this off season. Knock on him before he came to the Mets organization was his defense.
And also, he carried a little extra weight, and he really reworked that over the winter, as you could see. So runners lead from first and third, and Jones fouls the first pitch back, 0-1.
Well, his defense improved when he played for Toby Harrah. Toby Harrah got him down to the minor leagues last year and said, "You're a good offensive player. You've done the thing. You've done the job in the major leagues. What hurt you?" He said, "My defense." He said, "Well, why don't you work on it?" He said, "Give me a hand." Toby Harrah helped him.
Slider misses 1-1.
And now he's in the big leagues. And getting back to the big leagues, his defense helped him to get up here. He made some nice plays last year in right field.
Fran, I guess it's fair to say that if Ryan Thompson, now a former Met, had the work ethic of Chris Jones, he'd be in the Mets lineup this afternoon.
Yes, he would.
Ryan would exasperate, among others, Mets hitting coach John McCraw. Ball and a strike. And Jones fouls it back, and so Bailey headed the count 1-2.
Chris Jones was concerned about his status with the ball club enough to call Tom McCraw during the offseason, and Tom explained to him, "You're doing a job coming off the bench. Dallas likes you coming off the bench, so you'll probably end up coming off the bench again in '96.
Vizcaino with his lead at third. Ordonez at first. 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball up the middle, a base hit. One run scores around second, and cruising to third is Ordonez, and it's 6-4 St. Louis. Chris Jones delivers again as a pinch hitter. Tony La Russa's team had a 6-0 lead behind Andy Dennis. Mets started their comeback in the fourth inning. Todd Hundley hit a 2-run homer. Bernard Gilkey a solo shot in the sixth. And now the Mets with a run in and runners at the corners with 1 out. So the tying runs are on. Get used to this, kids. Here's La Russa back out of the dugout. Now he wants the left-hander with Johnson, the scheduled hitter.
Well, a big hit off the bat of Chris Jones. He drives in the run and keeps the inning.
Joe Amato for Game Time, and we have horrible news from Cincinnati. Umpire John McSherry has died at the Cincinnati hospital after he suffered a massive heart attack on the field at Riverfront Stadium this afternoon as the game started between the Cincinnati Reds and the Montreal Expos. McSherry had the heart attack on the field. He was the home plate umpire. They tried to administer CPR to him. I'm told now that he never regained consciousness, rushed to the University of Cincinnati Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 3:04 Eastern Time today. That game was postponed. They will play tomorrow. That's the story for now. Let's go back to Shea Stadium.
And certainly our condolences go to the family of the late John McSherry, veteran National League umpire, passing away today in Cincinnati.
Absolutely, Howie. I had the opportunity a couple off seasons ago to interview John McSherry right here at Shea Stadium. He drove in from Dobbs Ferry, and just a terrific guy. And as far as umpiring goes, Red Foley, who's an expert on the rules of the game, told me the guy who was the best was John McSherry. Highly respected by everybody, managers, players, coaches. John McSherry, and again, our condolences to his family.
And again, that game was postponed in Cincinnati due to the tragedy. Now, right here, the Mets threatening to inch closer to the Cardinals. Tony Fossas, the left-hander, on the pitch to left-hand batting Lance Johnson. They're going to appeal at second, saying that perhaps Ordonez missed the bag coming around, or at least that Ordonez, the runner at third base, had missed the bag going first to third. Jose Vizcaino had been at third, scoring the run on the base hit by Chris Jones.
I'll take a look, and we'll see. Did he touch the base? Yes, got the corner of the base.
So here's Johnson. Gaetti tight at third, and the check swing dribbler to third. Gaetti can't get Johnson. It's 6-5, and the Mets have first and second with 1 man out.
Oh, this has turned into some kind of ball game. Fans that stayed through the rain, enjoying this ball game, and Lance Johnson doing what the Mets got him for, put the ball in play and beat the throw to first base. Ordonez leaving the third base as soon as the ball was put in play, and Gaetti knows from the American League, I'm not going to get him, and he didn't.
And Gaetti was in pretty tight. He was playing on the grass at third base, too. You know, with Johnson, you got to be mindful of the squeeze possibilities, but even on the check swing, Gaetti did what he could, but Johnson's speed beats the play at first.
And one of the reasons Johnson led the American League in base hits last year, because of that speed.
So here's Gilkey. First and second, one man out. Breaking ball in the dirt, ball one.
We talked earlier, Howie, about how you feel good if you play well against the team that traded you away. As you mentioned, that solo home run in the sixth. Imagine Gilkey driving in another run.
Chris Jones, the runner at second. At first base, it's Lance Johnson. Fossa steals. That's in the dirt, 2-0.
And you never get a player to tell you while he's playing he feels good when he does well against his former mates. Maybe Gilkey will do it and then say it.
Tony Fossa is the third Cardinals pitcher used here in the seventh. T.J. Matthews, a right-hander, is throwing out there now. A left-hand hitter, though. Rico Brony is on deck. Andy Bennett started, worked the first 6. Honeycutt picked up the only out here in the seventh, retiring Todd Hundley. But since then, 4 straight singles. Vizcaíno, Ordonez, Jones, and Johnson.
And Fossas has a fastball, curveball, slider.
Ball 3. It's 3-0.
Well, you don't want to load up the bases, but I'm sure Tony La Russa knows Rico Brogna fared a lot better against right-handers than he did against left-handers last year.
3-0 on the way. They green light him, and he base hit to right field. Here comes Jones around third. He's going to score. The Mets have tied it at 6. They were down 6-0, but 5 straight hits here in the seventh have lifted them into a 6-6 tie.
Well, good move by Dallas Green, giving Gilkey the green light. We talked about Brogna struggling last year against left-handers and had a very short spring training. So Dallas Green gives Gilkey the green light, and he does the job.
They're eating it up here in Flushing. 3 runs in, runners at first and third, still only 1 out. And the left-hand hitter, Brogna, facing the left-handed pitcher, Tony Fossa.
Well, take a look at the reaction from the Mets bench and a base hit off the bat of Gilkey. Place is jumping right now. Looked like it was going to be a runaway for the Cardinals early on. They had a 6-0 lead.
Bernard Gilkey leading off the first. Johnson, the runner, at third. 1 man away. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Saw Rico Brogna pick up that base hit right there to left field. The ball was out over the plate. It was off Andy Bennett. And right now, Borders going out to talk to Fossa and Clayton with runners on first and third and 1 man out. Good call by Dallas Green, giving the green light to Bernard Gilkey.
And Bernard going the other way, going with the pitch.
A lot of times when that left-hander throws that fastball, it has that natural tail on it, where it tails away from a right-handed hitter. If they have the natural tail, you're a lot better off hitting the ball the other way, and Gilkey got the job done doing that.
See the line score. 1-1 on Brogna. And it's 1-2. You would think a pitch that would tail down and in, even to a left-hand hitter like Brogna, would be right into his wheelhouse and playing into his strengths, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, you're not as comfortable batting against a left-hander if you're a left-handed batter. You don't see that many left-handed pitchers, and they can be nasty on left-handed hitters.
It's recognizing the pitch as much as anything.
Oh, absolutely.
And here's the 1-2. To short right field. McGee's got it. Johnson will try to score. 7-6 New York. Gilkey hung up between first and second, and Clayton runs him down. But the run crosses the plate. The Mets have made up a 6-run deficit, and they have gone in front of the Redbirds, 7-6. Goes as a sacrifice fly by Brogna. And the Mets have the lead.
Well, Rico Brogna got the job done. Had abbreviated spring training, facing a left-hander, puts the ball in play. McGee grabs the ball. You're not going to throw Johnson out to play, but just in case, Gilkey broke from first base to force the cutoff, and they ran him down. But the Mets have taken a 7-6 lead. Lance Johnson on third base scored on the fly ball to right field. Watch Johnson. He picks up the fly of the ball. He's not sure now. He gets back to third base. McGee knows this guy can scoop. He shot for him, but the ball was cut off because Gilkey started from first base. Here's Brogna, his reaction to the sacrifice fly. Good hitting by Rico Brogna. At one time, there was a philosophy in baseball that no matter how you make your out, it's no big deal. You can strike out a ground out. Well, the fly ball right here, not the strikeout, got the job done for the Mets. And the bench reacting to the sacrifice fly.
And the fellow with the beard way over on the right of your screen is the injured pitcher, Bill Pulsifer. But Rico Brogna will watch the rest of this one from the bench. Changes for the New York Mets. Lance Johnson there remains in center. But it's Doug Henry on to do the pitching now, and he slips the slider over on Ron Gant for strike one. In addition, Butch Husky moves from right field to first base, replacing Brogna. And Chris Jones, who had the pinch single, remains in the game in right field. So the pitcher Henry bats third in Brogna's spot. 1-1.
This has been an exciting ballgame, whether you're a Mets fan or a Cardinal fan. There's Jones. And there's Butch Husky at first base. You hate to see a guy like Brogna come out of the ballgame. The way he can play defense, you hate to see him out of the game. So obviously, he doesn't have the mobility that he had prior to the injury because he can play first base.
Check swing by Gant. But he did not go around on the slider. Ruled first base umpire Randy Marsh. And so it's 2-1.
Brogna almost in Keith Hernandez's class, and I didn't think I'd see anybody in that class defensively.
2-1 pitch, and the slider misses low. 3-1.
He's a good fastball hitter with a bat in his hand, and he hit 29 home runs last year for the Cincinnati Reds. Ron Gant.
Henry turned his season around the second half of last year. What was the big difference to you?
I just felt they got comfortable pitching here in New York. They got some guys who can really throw in this ball club.
This is outside, and a leadoff walk to Ron Gant with the Mets' upper run in the 8th inning gives the Redbirds a base runner, and it brings up Gary Gaetti.
Third baseman Gary Gaetti.
Well, that'll drive you crazy as a manager, even as a catcher. Well, the catcher's partly at fault. You got to tell that pitcher you want to strike.
Tommy Reynolds flashing the signs.
Sometimes you try to be too fine in a situation like that and you lose the hitter. And I think sometimes the catcher gives the hitter too much credit and the pitcher gives the hitter too much credit.
I wouldn't expect Gaetti to be bunting here. Power hitting third baseman. Ripped to third, pitch with the putout, and there's one away. The reaction play at a reaction position by Jeff Kent.
Heard Ralph talking about Ken playing second base last year. I thought he did a good job at second base, and I think he'll do a good job over at third base. Different type of position, as you mentioned. It's a reaction position at third base.
Well, here's Mabry. He's driven in two, one with a sac fly, one with a solo home run. That'll drift into the seats and the left field line. Mets are leading 7-6. 4-run seventh. Put them in front, and Art Gilkey had a big hit on 3-0. That tied it. Brogna's sacrifice fly has put New York in front. Gant with a decent lead off the first. Rain continues to fall. And he gets that one over at the knees. So Henry ahead of Mabry, 0-2.
We talked about it earlier. Henry struggled coming out of the chute last year. People were starting to second guess the trade, but all three of the pitchers involved in that trade from Cleveland have done the job.
Gant bluffs, doesn't go, and he's going to wind up at second base anyway. Slider that ate up Todd Hundley.
Yeah, that's a pitch that when you're a catcher, I mean, you have to get in front of the ball. Sometimes it's tough because you're diving into the batter. You got a lot of things happening. You got a runner on first base. You want to keep this ball in front of you. Obviously a wild pitch. But I always felt that was the toughest to block with that left-handed batter up, and you're diving into the batter.
No chance for Hundley there, and so the Cardinals have the tying run in scoring position now with one man out, Mabry the batter. 1-2. And the count holds. Nothing doing in the Mets bullpen. Tony La Russa has right-hander T.J. Matthews throwing for the Cardinals. You know Dallas is hoping that Doug Henry can get him to John Franco in the ninth. Daylight play. That's a throw to the right side of the bag. Well, technically the wrong side of the bag.
Usually a play like that is put on by the shortstop. It used to be a catcher could call for that play where he would put that target up, and when he saw the shortstop break, he'd drop the target down. The pitcher would automatically turn and go to second base.
And that's in the dirt. 2-2.
If you have a chance to pick a pitch in the dirt that you're going to block, it's going to be the curveball. The slider and the fastball, boy, they can eat you up with that ball in the dirt.
That's where you get your broken fingers, huh?
Ozzie with that slight strain in the hamstring, obviously trying to loosen it up.
Doug Henry checks the runner Gant at second. Henry with the spin. And there are two away. I'll tell you what, Ordonez was just about set when Henry delivered that ball, too, because he had ducked in for that timing play again.
And what was, it looked to me like Ordonez wanted Henry to step off. He was, he's behind the runner. He went over to second base, and Mabry puts the ball in play. If it gets by Henry, Ordonez is there. It looked like Ordonez wanted Henry to step off. Once he started towards second base, he made a motion to Henry. Then Henry went to the plate, and Ordonez was behind Gant.
Well, keep that defensive play, the throw that Ordonez made, in mind. Because with the Mets leading 7-6, it looms larger. And here's Borders, and the slider 1-0. And the Cardinals' seventh. Langford doubled with 2 out. Clayton tried to score from first. Gilkey hit Ordonez with a relay throw. Ordonez was on his knees when he threw Clayton out to end the inning. And then the Mets put up 4. Kickoff play just tackles Gant. Did Ordonez even hold on to the ball?
No. Made some contact. Gant going back into second base. Gant with those big arms doing some damage to that baseball down there.
So the call doesn't come from the catcher anymore at all, huh?
Well, it could. It just depends on the ball club. But you can see Hundley. You can see Hundley behind the plate, not dropping his glove. Ordonez just going behind the runner. Think with a guy as agile as Ordonez, the pitcher can just take a look. He sees Ordonez breaking towards second base, throw it to him, because right there he saved an error.
So the drop of the glove is the tip-off to the runner then, huh?
At one time, they used to do that a lot, where the catcher would give the sign and then put the target up and then drop it. As soon as he dropped the glove, the pitcher wouldn't even be looking at second base. He would just spin and throw.
Did the runner have time to react to the catcher dropping the glove, kind of read off of that and scramble back?
I don't think many guys really read off of it. I think they forgot that thing was on.
1-1 to Borders. In the air to right. Should be easy for Chris Jones, even with the raindrops. And the side's retired. So Henry gets the job done. After allowing a leadoff walk, he throws a wild pitch. Bottom of the 8th coming up, and the Mets are up 7-6. Well, the Mets will get John Franco up and throwing because they'll have a 1-run lead to protect at worst for the Mets when the 9th inning begins. 7-6 New York.
You see Henry talking to Ordonez about that play at second base when Ordonez snuck behind the runner. Pitchers and everybody's going to have to watch Ordonez because he's going to do a lot of things that are going to be out of the ordinary as far as his agility is concerned. He has a lot of confidence in himself, and you see a guy like Ordonez break to second base, you better keep your eye on him, even if you're on his team.
This copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and SportsChannel is prohibited. And there you see the Mets closer, John Franco, who will come on in the 9th inning, and it's T.J. Matthews, a right-hander, who becomes the 5th pitcher utilized by Tony La Russa this afternoon.
And you've heard that term insurance run. Well, as a catcher and a pitcher, you can pick up a run or two in this inning and go into the 9th inning with more of a cushion. You even call a different game. You pitch a different game. Tony La Russa looking up at that lineup card. He manages from the first pitch to the last pitch in the ball game.
Butch Husky, Jeff Kent, Todd Hundley will do the hitting for the Mets here in the bottom of the 8th. And Husky swings and misses, strike one. Butch is 0 for 3. Struck out twice, once looking, once swinging, and he's also flied to right. And he swings and misses, strike two.
Talking earlier about Butch in Florida, he had a very aggressive swing. He's a little bit tardy right now, not as aggressive. First day of the season, the bell has just rung.
And the 0-2 from Matthews, ripped to left for a base hit. And there's Husky's first hit of the year. Matthews got one up on 0-2, and Husky made him pay.
That'll loosen you up.
So a leadoff base runner, and Jeff Kent will do the hitting.
There you see Husky get the head of the bat out there. More of a contact stroke right here. Hit that ball hard in the left field.
Matthews had good pop those first two pitches to Husky, too.
The ball right by him. It looked like Husky all of a sudden just turned it up a notch. I don't care how hard a major league pitcher throws. You have to mix it up, whether you change speeds or you have a breaking ball and ball. You're not going to throw fastball after fastball by major league hitters.
Kent's 1 for 3, single, popped to third, struck out. And takes strike one here with the Cardinals looking for a bunt at third and first. Mike Covich and Jeff Kent communicate. It's 7-6 New York. 7 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Mets. 6 runs, 13 hits, no errors for St. Louis. Gaetti with 1 foot on the grass already at third. And the fluff by Matthews.
You bump the runner over. If you're La Russa, do you walk Hundley to pitch the Vizcaíno?
Not a bad idea. I would.
Oh, I would. Hundley has become a run producer when he's healthy.
Gaetti charges. Mabry comes in from first as well. And it's 1-1. It's rained intermittently this afternoon, although it has rained most of the time. And the winds... Oh, have you figured this place out yet?
No, nobody's figured this place out. I'll tell you what, these fans stayed through it.
Wind is swirled this afternoon, as it normally does here at Shea Stadium. Now Kent pushes it up the first baseline. Mabry has one play right now. It's the first, although maybe he would have had a chance on Husky at second.
That's up to Borders, the catcher. He's going to run out there and tell the first baseman or the pitcher where to throw the ball. And Husky doesn't run that well. Obviously, Mabry had a good shot for the force play at second base.
Does that almost tell you as well that, I don't even know if the guys on the field realize it, but they're probably committed to putting Hundley on anyway?
No, I think what happened there is Mabry just felt the only place he could get the out was first base. If you can get the lead runner, you might as well go get Husky at second base, and then you have a runner on first base. Right there could have been a miscommunication because it was clear they had a shot at Husky at second base. In fact, now you're going to get a pinch runner.
Bogart coming in, Tim Bogart, a run for Husky. Well, here's my question then to you as a catcher. We know that managers have to think ahead. What about catchers on plays like that as well? Does everything register through your mind? Well, don't take the chance at second if you think it's close, because we're probably only going to put the next guy on anyway. Let's take our chances with Vizcaíno instead of Hundley. Are you thinking ahead the way a manager is?
Well, I would go after the lead runner. You would go out and you would be screaming at the top of your lungs where to throw that ball. Now, if you have a pretty good crowd on hand, a lot of times the infielder can't hear you. Another
other thing you have to take into consideration is how good defensively is the guy fielding the ball, whether it's the pitcher, the third baseman, or the first baseman. Some guys don't want to throw the ball to second base. Better off getting the sure out.
There goes that theory altogether because they're pitching to Todd Hundley.
Yeah. I'm surprised right here. This guy here has got some pop in his bat. It's different hitting with the runner in scoring position than with nobody in scoring position. He's had more success than Vizcaíno driving in runs.
1-0 on Hundley. Breaking ball for a strike. So the Mets with a runner at second now and one man out. Bogar, the pinch runner for Husky, who led off with a base hit and was pushed up to second on the sacrifice by Kent. 7-6 New York. One out in the eighth.
Keep in mind, Hundley with a home run in his ball game. When you hit a home run in the ball game, you are extremely comfortable at the plate.
Down the right field line, but curving foul. And it's 1-2. Well, you don't want to hit one off the fist today.
No. Now they're going to have a confab on the mound. They're going to want to make Hundley hit their pitch. Runner in scoring position in 1995. You see those stats? Those are some pretty good stats right there. 36 RBIs, 4 home runs. But it's a new season, so we throw those stats away.
One and two on Todd Hundley. Bogar short lead off second. That breaking ball misses way outside, 2-2.
We're talking about Hundley before. He looked so comfortable at the plate, working with Tom McCraw. Tom preached that discipline of the head, and when you see Todd swing the bat, his head's right on the ball. This guy's done a fine job with the hitters for the Mets, Tom McCraw.
Outfield plays Hundley straight away. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout from Matthews, 2 men away.
Looked like he pulled the string right there. Good pitch.
Well, we'll be back with you on SportsChannel on Thursday afternoon as the Mets and Cardinals close out this 3-game series. Sports Authority game time at 1, and they'll throw the first pitch a little after 1:40 in the afternoon. We'll see Andy Bennis's brother, Alan, doing the pitching for the Cardinals, and Paul Wilson will make his Major League debut for the Mets. We'll have it for you right here on SportsChannel.
And there's a game Wednesday right here at Shea Stadium, the Mets and the Cardinals. You can catch all the action on Channel 9 here in New York.
So here's Jose Vizcaíno, who's 1 for 3. He fouls it back 0-1.
Now you look at this situation. Vizcaíno considered a little bit better hitter than Rey Ordonez, but Ordonez, everybody's still wondering about that bat. And they're going to pitch to Vizcaíno with the runner in scoring position. So Tony La Russa said, forget the book.
Ordonez has had 1 base hit this afternoon, a big one. Came during the 7th inning rally. There's Bogar, used to wear number 23, but gave that up to Bernard Gilkey. Wore it in St. Louis. Just upstairs, 1-1.
You have to be around a long time and be a successful manager to pitch to a left-handed hitter in this situation. And you have a right-hander on deck. Tony La Russa, his 18th year managing in the major leagues. Done a terrific job.
Not the first time he's been in the Cardinals organization either. Popped up into short center. And it's Clayton, the shortstop, who puts it away. So get ready. John Franco will come out of the bullpen and try and nail it down. It's opening day here at Shea. The Mets were down 6-0, but look at this. They've got a 1-run lead as we head to the 9th. Changes for the Mets as we go to the 9th. Tim Bogar, who came on as a pinch runner for Butch Husky, stays in the game at first base. And trying to close it out will be John Franco, who last year, as with the entire team seemingly, struggled in the first half, but came around after the All-Star break. He finished with 29 saves. And then you see the 1-loss record and the earned run average, John Franco.
And he's become a leader in his ball club.
unusual for a man out of the bullpen to be a leader, but he has taken charge. Starting last year and down in spring training, a lot of players looked at John Franco. He's been a terrific reliever over the years. And you see the saves, Franco with 295. Heading for, heading for that 300 club.
Eckersley in the ballpark with the St. Louis Cardinals. Tony La Russa bringing him over. What about Randall K. Myers there, who's teaming up with Jesse Orozco and Roger McDowell for Davy Johnson's Orioles. There's Eckersley.
There's Eckersley right there. And Tony La Russa popularized this move where you use your closer only when you have a lead in the 9th inning. And it started in Oakland when Tony had Eckersley coming out of the bullpen.
I don't know about you. I never liked that.
No, I think you should get that guy in there when you get a chance of winning a ball game. I don't care if it's the 8th inning. You don't want to pitch a guy too much. But waiting for the 9th inning, I mean, a guy can sit down for a month and a half if he's with a bad ball club.
Well, here we go to the 9th. It's Luis Alicea, a pinch hitter for the pitcher, and Willie McGee for the Cardinals, and Franco misses outside, ball 1. 7-6 New York. They trailed, the Mets did, 6-0 at one point. Alicea 1 for 3 with a run scored. Kent charges. One away.
Well, the one thing you have to be careful of when you're a player is you have to get, when it's raining out, you want to get a good grip on that ball when you're throwing it.
Well, Fran, look at where this one this afternoon would fit in. They haven't done this, which has come back from 6 runs and going on 16 years.
Number 23.
Well, the Mets were charging, believe it or not, near the top of the National League East standings under Joe Torre in 1980. But right here, Dallas Green's club trying to close out an opening day victory. And the Cardinals go into the bench as Mark Sweeney, a left-handed batter, will face a left-handed pitcher, John Franco.
Spring training, it was the heralded young pitchers everybody was promoting. You break camp, you come up north, first game, you have to overcome a 6-run deficit.
Well, Fran, as unusual as it may seem, if you don't follow the Mets all that closely, to see a left-handed batter sent up as a pinch hitter against a left-handed pitcher, Franco, because of his repertoire, seemingly has more trouble with left-handed hitters than right-handers. Sweeney looks at strike 1.
Well, it's a different mindset, though, when you send that left-hander up. I don't care if it's Franco or anybody else. You get those left-handers up there, and sometimes they are overmatched when they're facing a left-handed pitcher.
You see what Sweeney's done. Last year he had 77 at-bats for the season, but better than 500 as a pinch hitter. Just missed. 1-1.
The mindset in baseball, even the good left-handed hitters are not comfortable against left-handed pitching. So it's got to be difficult for a manager to send a left-hander up against a left-hander like Johnny Franco.
Wide of first. Bogart's going to take it himself. 2 away. And the Mets are 1 out away from an opening day comeback victory. Willie McGee stands in the way right now for the Cardinals as the crowd, and a good many of them still here despite the lousy weather, and it's been bad all day whether it's been raining or not. La Russa has not been able to get to Eckersley. And Franco for the Mets faces Willie McGee, who's 2 for 4, including a 3-run homer. Strike 1. $42,060. He paid attendance for opening day here today. They're on their feet. That one's in the dirt. 1-1.
As a catcher, when you sit behind the plate in a situation like this, you want John Franco to throw strikes, but you know Willie McGee, a guy that has 2 National League batting crowns under his belt, you know he can pop the ball over the fence. He's done it from the left side of the plate already today.
Lance Johnson in center shades McGee a little bit towards right. Infield straight up. Ordonez! Mets win! Mets win! They were down 6-0, and John Franco has worked a
up the save. And the jubilant Mets high-fiving each other. Rey Ordonez right in the middle of that behind second place. Second base, I should say. Ordonez punctuates the victory. He made a great defensive play to prevent a run, had a base hit during the 4-run rally, and look at the celebration.
That's a big lift for the Mets. Franco coming in and doing the job right off the bat here in '96. Dallas Green has told us many times Ordonez is going to thrill you all season long. He did it today. Got a big hit also with his glove. Thrilled us. 2 standing ovations, as Joe McElvain said. He'll lead the league in standing ovations. He's up right now.
Yeah, we don't know what happened around the rest of the league today, and Pat Borders is trying to figure out what happened here, but I got to think Ordonez is at least tied for the league lead in standing O's right now.
Oh, here's Ordonez, the last out of the ballgame. Franco challenging McGee. Ordonez going over, down on one knee, up he comes, flips to first base, and that ends the ball game. The Mets on top of the Cardinals. Opening day come from behind victory. The players in the Met dugout, animated as can be. And you're going to see John Franco's reaction right here. He knows that ball's hit to Ordonez. This is over. So a big afternoon here at Shea despite the inclement weather. And you're going to see Dallas Green right now, his reaction. He hit it to the right guy.
Well, he was saying before the game, what is this, his 44th opening day? He looks about as excited as he might have been the first time he saw a big league ballpark as a Philadelphia Philly. The Mets, who trailed 6-0, have come from behind to beat the St. Louis Cardinals 7-6. Your final this afternoon here at Shea Stadium. Before we get you back to Shea, let's send you to Joe Amato at our
Let's go out to the Wiz place. Let's go out with the crowd. Let's buy a TV and stereo. You can be sure it won't cost much. Don't worry, save at this great store. It's the best store in the biz. So they 1, 2, 3 times that. Nobody beats the Wiz.
On sale. Nobody beats the Wiz.
Nobody beats the Wiz.
All right, Joe, thanks a lot. And Fran, it's interesting. We were talking before the game about exchanging memories of opening day, and I think in years to come, Mets fans will remember this about as fondly as any other season opener.
Yeah, Howie, this should be quite a memory because the Mets trailing 6-0. We thought the ball game was out of reach, and all of a sudden they come back and win this ball game going ahead of the Cardinals. And some real positive notes. The Mets plugged Rey Ordonez throughout spring training. They were right.
Well, one thing that, at least in my opinion, I'm going to take from this game more than any other is the work of Rey Ordonez.
Rey Ordonez made an outstanding play to save the game with his glove and his arm. It was just a terrific play. Bernard Gilkey handcuffed him with a ball that he threw in from left field. Ordonez from his knees then made a perfect throw to nail the runner at home plate. That saved the ball game for the Mets. You get a big hit in the game. Let's not forget Todd Hundley. How about Bernard Gilkey against his former team?
Turned him loose 3-0 in a big spot, and he had a base hit. Well, let's take a look at our Coors Light play of the game this afternoon. And this is the play that I think sealed in the minds of Mets fans just what all the fuss has been about Rey Ordonez.
And watch Gilkey, he throws a bullet, and it's a tough throw to handle. Watch Ordonez handle. It's easy, he says. And then from his knees, a perfect strike to the plate. Easy to handle for Todd Hundley. Once again, Gilkey over. Now watch this. A bullet to Ordonez. Usually you throw it chest high, but Ordonez with those soft hands makes the glove. I should say gloves it and then throws a perfect strike to the plate. Outstanding play by Rey Ordonez, and that was the reason for his first standing ovation.
Right about now, the Mets clubhouse, the pitchers are choosing up to see who gets to take Rey Ordonez out to dinner tonight. 7-6 Mets. We're back after this.